First baseman, Steve Yeager the catcher. In the outfield, in left, it's Dusty Baker. Rick Mundy taking over in center field tonight in place of Glenn Burke. And in right field, Reggie Smith. Bake McBride and the plate umpire Bob Engel having some kind of a conversation at home plate. Apparently, McBride wanted the plate umpire to check the ball. Sutton has been known in the past to doctor the ball. And apparently McBride wanted to get everything off on the right foot. So he's got his notion. He wanted it done. He got it done. McBride, 2 for 5 last night with a run scored. And the first pitch of this ball game is chopped high towards Sutton on the mound. He makes a quick throw to first in time to get the speedy McBride. Bake McBride on a high hopper to the pitcher is gone on one pitch. Shortstop. Now here's Larry Bowa, the switch hitter. He'll be up there left-handed against the right-handed Sutton. Sutton a year ago won 20 games. This year, he dropped to only 14 victories. Although he is second all-time at Dodgers for most wins with 190 to Drysdale's 201. First pitch to Bowa is outside, ball one. The outfield shading well off to the left side. They give Bowa all of right center. The 1-0 pitch coming up. Hit hard down the right field line. Into the corner after to Smith, and the ball is foul. That was very close to home run territory. Bowa had 4 home runs before this year. And this year, the little shortstop came up with 4. So he matched his lifetime record in a single season. I don't know if that ball is spiced up or not, but certainly a lot of people are getting home runs that didn't happen before.
Jerry, it's spiced up. It is hot.
All right, Bowa waiting now, choked up about 3 inches. Here's a 1-1 delivery by Sutton, and this one is looped toward left field. Russell in hot pursuit, can't get it, and it drops. Larry Bowa drops the single just past the outstretched glove of the shortstop, Bill Russell. So Bowa gets the first hit of the afternoon. It's late afternoon here on the West Coast, and of course early evening on the East Coast. Bowa with a single to left. He had 1 hit last night. He is now 2 for 6 in the 2 games. And here comes Mike Schmidt. Schmidt drove in what proved to be the winning run last night. Right-hand hitter, big power, the last 3 years has led the National League in home runs. This year, George Foster took it away from him. Foster with 52, but Schmidt ended with 38. A fastball right in there, strike one. Sutton has a screwball. There's a throw to first, and Bowa gets back. Which the left-hand hitters are more than likely to see. Occasionally, you'll try to put a little extra zip on it and get it on the fist of the right-hand hitters. Greg Luzinski waiting in the on-deck circle. Bowa off at first, and Schmidt swings and misses, strike 2. Mike Schmidt, no balls, 2 strikes, 1 away, top of the first inning. The second game of the championship series in the National League. Outfield has Schmidt about dead straight away. The configuration of the ballpark is 330 down each line, 385 into the alleys, and about 400 to dead center. Now Sutton steps back off the rubber. Bowa with running speed on at first base. He'll go. Larry stole 32 this year. Was cut down only 3 times as Schmidt takes inside. A ball and 2 strikes. Billy DeMar is the third base coach for Philadelphia. At first base, Tony Taylor. Bowa, pretty good lead at first. Sutton checking him out. And a throw to first base again as Garvey puts the tag on him. Sutton shaking off his catcher. Yeager has a sign. Steps on the rubber. Schmidt from the right side, right on top of the plate. Here's the delivery, and he struck him out with a fastball. Throw to first. And Bowa is back. Mike Schmidt goes down on a fastball at the letters. So Don Sutton logs his first strikeout. Bowa is still holding at first. And here comes Greg Luzinski, who's hit 9 of his last 10 ball games with 3 doubles, 4 home runs, and 10 RBIs. And, of course, that includes those final games of the 1977 season. Greg Luzinski, who last night with a runner on, put the Phillies ahead with a home run. Curveball is outside to the big guy. They call him the Bull. Luzinski belies his ability with the bat. He looks like a linebacker. Throw to first. Bowa gets back again. The outfield now pulls over to the left side for Luzinski. Say back at third. Russell medium depth at shortstop. Lopes shading toward second if Bowa goes, and Bowa switched back again at first base. No score, just underway. Phillies and the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles, California. The pitch coming up to Luzinski, a swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sutton, who did not have a good second half, tried to stop the Phillies tonight. A big game for the Dodgers as the delivery comes on, and Luzinski goes after a slider and misses it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Don Sutton out of Clio, Alabama, makes his home here in Southern California. Checking his catcher, Bowa with the lead at first. Sutton off the rubber again. Sutton holding Bowa very close. Here's the delivery to Luzinski. Chops it foul. It's over toward the Dodger dugout. The count stays 1 ball and 2 strikes, and we'll try it again. Plate umpires Bob Engel, Harry Wendelstedt at first, Bruce Fremming at second, Dutch Rennert at third. On the left field line, Paul Runge, and on the right field line, it's Paul Pryor. Sutton again at the set position, and the delivery to Luzinski. Checks the swing. Off to the right side, and once again we'll go 1 ball and 2 strikes. Luzinski led the Phillies in home runs and RBIs this year with 39 and 130. Strong candidate for Most Valuable Player of the Year award for 77. The 1-2 pitch, Bowa's on the way. Luzinski chops it over the pitcher's head. Lopes is right there on the cover and makes an easy play out of it. So Luzinski is down to their 4-3, and so are the Phillies in the first. A hit, a man left after a half inning. Philadelphia nothing. The Dodgers moving in.
So Phillies pitcher Jim Lonborg will go to the mound. He's working in game 2, and he says, tell you what, folks, I can't let playoff pressure bother me on the mound.
There's a special excitement, and that's all prior to the walking across the line. Once you walk across the line, if you let that excitement interfere with the job you have to do, then you're not really, I think, getting the most out of your abilities. Your abilities have to be used on the field and with a coolness and not based on something that people talk about or people expect of you. It's a job that we have to try to keep at a simple level.
Jim Lonborg of the Philadelphia Phillies. Lonborg on the season with an 11-4 record, and he came up with 158 innings pitched, but his earned run average a little bit high at 4.10. 3 times in National League Championship Series play, the losing team in the first game of the series has come on to win the series. In 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates lost the first game to the San Francisco Giants and then promptly won 3 straight. In 1972, the Cincinnati Reds lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates in Game 1 and defeated the Pirates in a 5-game set. And in 1973, the New York Mets lost the opener to the Cincinnati Reds and won the series 3-2. All 3 winners won the championship series in their home park, which means that the Dodgers will be playing in the visitors' park. If they can come back, it will be the first time in the history of the championship series dating back to 1969 that a team that has lost the first game will ever win if they win it in the visiting park. That's very easy to do, and once again, here's Jerry Coleman.
Okay, Ralph, it's Jim Lonborg, a man who was on the disabled list earlier this year and fought his way back to an 11-4 record. And it was only 10 years ago, this October, that Jim Lonborg was the toast of the Boston Red Sox and of all New England. He won the Cy Young Award for the Red Sox that year in the American League, won 2 games in the World Series, and then a skiing accident that winter changed his entire career and pretty much his outlook in life. Lonborg had 3 dismal years after that serious knee operation, fought his way back to respectability in 71 with the Red Sox, and on to Milwaukee, and with the Phillies the last 4 years. So Jim Lonborg, a lifetime winner of 149 ball games, losing 126. Overall, 6-3 against the Dodgers, coming on now against Dave Lopes. And this is a man, Lonborg will try to keep off the bases. He can make things happen. He can run the bases. The first pitch to Lopes is a ground ball to the shortstop. Bowa, 2 hops. He's got it. The first base, and Lopes is cut down. So Lopes, who went 2 for 5 last night, is out of there 6-3. Now here's Bill Russell. Russell, a delightful young man, and the unfortunate victim of a couple of errors last night that led to 4 unearned runs, and 1 other run scored by the Phillies came in on a balk, so it was not the Dodgers' night. Lonborg delivers a 1-hopper to the shortstop, and on 2 pitches, he's got 2 outs. I'll tell you, Ralph Kiner, at that speed, Lonborg's shoulder will last till next week.
Well, the Dodgers know that Lonborg is around the plate. He throws a lot of sliders. He is a pinpoint type pitcher, and they're not wasting any time, although it will be easier for Lonborg if they continue to go at the first pitch.
Reggie Smith, who comes up there left-handed tonight. Smith, a much better hitter from the left side. He's got more power from the left side with a much better average. A 316 hitter left-handed, 282 right-handed on the year. And during this series, he is 0 for 4. He got the collar last night. 32 home runs, 87 RBIs, and waits for the first one, and it's good for strike 1. So Lonborg has thrown 3 pitches. He's got 2 outs and a strike on Reggie Smith. Outfield, tails out to the right side, and Smith waits for the next one. Curve is high, 1-1. Schmidt, Bowa, Sizemore, Hebner from 3rd to 1st. Boone is the catcher tonight. The outfield from left to right, Luzinski, McBride, and Johnstone. Reggie Smith takes strike 2. A ball and 2 strikes. Ron Cey, the man of the hour last night for a few moments in the 7th inning in the on-deck circle. Smith waiting, holds the bat high, and the 1-2 delivery is hit hard and foul way down into the corner. The count stays at a ball and 2 strikes. Reggie Smith and Jim Lonborg, teammates on the Miracle in Boston in 1967, now in the opposing forces. Ground ball, great stop by the first baseman, Hebner, and he nails Reggie Smith. Man, an outstanding play by Hebner to save extra bases. 3 up and 3 down for the Dodgers in the first. We go to the second. Phillies nothing, Los Angeles nothing.
2-run homers by Hal McRae and John Mayberry, plus Freddie Partak's disputed 2-run double, highlighted a lightning-quick Kansas City blitz Wednesday and carried the Royals to a 7-2 victory over the New York Yankees in the first game of the American League Championship Series. In forging a 1-0 lead in the best-of-5 series, the Royals did the bulk of their scoring in the first 3 innings and thus found themselves in the comfortable position of returning to their home stadium after Thursday night's second game with no worse than a split in New York. No team which has lost the first game of either league playoff at home has ever been able to rebound to win the series. Yankee starter Don Gullett, who said the secret to beating the Royals was keeping the speedmen off the bases, failed in that mission.
Well, the Dodgers broke an all-time attendance record this year when they attracted 2,955,087 to the ballpark for 79 days. They were ringed out of a chance to draw 3 million. No team, of course, has ever been close to 3 million until the Dodgers did it this year. And the first game of the series drew 55,968, and it was the 3rd largest crowd in Dodger Stadium history. Once again, here's Jerry Coleman.
Richie Hebner coming on right now. He came on as a pinch hitter last night. It did not connect. He popped up to the first baseman, and that was in the 2-run 9th inning, the dramatic 9th, that the Phillies picked up and walked off for the game. They won it 7-5. If you missed the action this afternoon, In the American League playoffs, Kansas City beat New York 7-2. Paul Splittorff the winner, Don Gullett the loser. McRae, Mayberry, and Collins homered for the Royals. Munson for the Yankees. Right now, Hebner waiting for the first one. It's on the way, and the curveball is high for ball one. They swing the outfield and the infield way over for Hebner, a dead pull hitter. Played with Pittsburgh last year, worked out his option, signed on with the Phillies. A line drive to right field, and that's going to drop for a base hit. A looping line drive for Richie Hebner gives the Phillies a runner at first base and nobody out here in the second. No score in the ball game. Hebner on at first, and Jay Johnstone stepping in. Johnstone is one of those unique players who is a late starter. He started with the California Angels many years ago, kind of sputtered around, and then came to real stardom with the Phillies. He platoons in right field, but a deadly hitter against the right-hand pitchers. Johnstone takes strike one. Jay from the left side. In a pinch-hitting role last night, did not connect. Here's Sutton's delivery to Johnstone. Bunts it foul. He tried to drag it on the first base side, and it got under him. So it's no balls, 2 strikes. Hebner at first and nobody out. We're in the second inning. No score in the ball game.
Johnstone is the type of hitter that you could throw him 45 straight curveballs and then try to get a fastball by him, and he would hit it.
He's still there. He'll never give up. All right. Here's the 2-strike pitch on the way, and it's fouled away. Johnstone was called out, apparently. Oh, I thought he fouled the ball. I take it back. The ball was dropped. He swung at it. And, of course, he is an automatic out. The runner at first can run at his own risk. I thought the ball was fouled, but Johnstone apparently missed it completely, and he becomes an automatic out. With less than 2 outs and a runner at first, no matter what happens to that ball on strike 3, the batter is out. The runner may run at his own risk. So Johnstone strikes out. Log number 2 for Don Sutton. All right, here's Bob Boone stepping in. Right-hand hitting Boone did not start last night, but takes strike 1. Boone came on defensively in the late stages of the ball game. Up for the first time in the series. Has a 1-strike count on him. Now the 1-strike pitch to Boone, and a little bit high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bob Boone and Jim Lonborg, that's quite a battery, both out of Stanford University and both pre-med students. That's a rarity in baseball. Boone waiting, and a throw to first base pushes Hebner back. Infield tight at double play depth. Sutton, the right-hander, kicks, and the delivery is coming up. A check swing, hopper to the shortstop. Russell to Lopes for 1. No chance for the double play. A good play by Hebner got Lopes out of there, and any chance he had for Boone was lost. So Hebner forced at second on the play that went 6-4. Bob Boone now at first base with 2 down. And here is Ted Sizemore, who went 0 for 3 last night. Sizemore, right-hand hitter, rookie of the year with the Dodgers a few years back, then traded off to St. Louis. Back to the Dodgers and on to the Phillies when the Phillies lost their second baseman, who went on to Montreal. Ted Sizemore, right-hand batter, batting in that keen-up race spot, and there's a ground ball foul. Pulled hard on the left side, strike 1. They give Sizemore all of that left field foul line and a big chunk of the left center field alley. So if he finds that alley, he can run for quite a while. Nobody out there at all. Boone, not an overly fast man on at first, 2 down. Second inning, no score, and Sizemore tries to dump a bunt on the third base side, and it's foul. No balls and 2 strikes.
I haven't figured that play out yet, Jerry. It's been sort of popularized here lately. Batter batting 8, bunting in front of the pitcher, and Lonborg is not a good hitting pitcher. Hard to believe.
I used to have a manager by the name of Casey Stengel who reminded one of our players one day, if you do that again, it'll cost you $500. Because you can't drive a man from first base with a bunt or from second base. But they do it. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And the two-strike pitch coming up is high, 1-2. Sometimes, if a hitter feels the pitcher's got him cold, he may try anything to get on, and that could be the possibility there.
Lonborg has a major league batting average of 137.
I throw to first base, and Boone is back again. Bob Boone is not the kind of a guy that'll make you worry on the bases. He's stolen 5, and he's been caught 5 times. Boone now with a short lead. Sizemore waiting at the plate. Sutton checks out Yeager. Lopes over towards second, and here's the delivery to Sizemore. A looping line drive, right center field drop. Boone down to second and holds on as Mundy gets the ball back in a hurry. So Sutton has given up his 3rd hit, but he spread them out, and he couldn't have a better man on a spot like this coming up than the pitcher, Jim Lonborg. Lonborg has 5 hits in 48 trips this year, and that comes out at 104. Jim at 6'4", another Stanford University grad. Waiting as Sutton kicks and delivers, and he was going to push a bunt on the first base side and took it for a strike. Garvey and Lopes are way back there. All right, Sizemore drifting off at first. Boone at second. No score in the game, second inning. Phillies batting. The next pitch to Lonborg, high. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1-1. Dodger Stadium, where last night they had a near record crowd of 55,968. And it looks like the same tonight. A swing by Lonborg. Strike 2. A ball and 2 strikes. In fact, Major League Baseball has set an all-time record, coming up at 38,746,000 plus. That's about 6 million more than ever before. Here's the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch, and it's a breaking ball inside. Sutton started to leave. Plate umpire Bob Engel said you're going to have to do it again. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two and 2 the count. Sutton at the set. Here's the pitch to Lonborg, and he struck him out. John Sutton picks up his 3rd strikeout for the Phillies in the second. No runs, a couple of hits, 2 men left. After 1.5, Philadelphia nothing, Los Angeles nothing.
We were talking about the Kansas City Royals' victory over the New York Yankees 7-2 in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Yankee starter Don Gullett, who said the secret of beating the Royals was keeping the speed off the bases, failed in that mission from the very outset, walking Freddie Pautek, the leadoff batter, on 4 straight pitches. After Gullett threw another ball on his first pitch to McBride, the Royals' second batter of the game, and Yankee manager Billy Martin hustled out to the mound for a conference of his pitcher. Gullett settled down and threw 2 straight strikes, but McBride leaped on a 2-2 delivery and sent it over the left field wall, inches above the 387-foot sign, for a 2-0 lead.
That strikeout by Don Sutton, a part of a great record that Sutton has had as a strikeout pitcher for the Dodgers. The all-time strikeout leader for the Dodgers, Don Drysdale, with 2,486. Sandy Koufax, who was here in the ballpark yesterday and probably here today, second with 2,396. And Sutton in the regular season with enough strikeouts to run his record to 2,224, third on the all-time Dodger list. Don had 150 strikeouts this year. Also, Sutton is right up there in wins. He is second to Don Drysdale, who had 209. Sutton has 190 in his career and on his way to passing Don Drysdale. Once again, we go to the bottom of the Dodger inning, and it's Jerry Coleman.
Okay, Ralph Kiner, it'll be Ron Cey, Steve Garvey, and Dusty Baker coming on, and Cey had gone 0 for 31 to end the season before he came up with a couple of hits last night, and a 1 in the 7th inning turned this ballpark upside down. A grand slam home run that tied it up at 5, but the Dodgers couldn't hold on, and the Phillies won at 7-5. Jim Lonborg, taking his warm-up tosses, will face Cey, Garvey, Baker, followed by Mundy, Yeager, and Sutton. We might mention, although, that Lonborg retired the side in order in the first inning, each Dodger hit the ball sharply. Lopes, a hot grounder to short. Russell the same on one hop. Then Reggie Smith hit a hot grounder to first. So the Dodgers were making contact. Let's see what happens here in the last of the second inning. Ron Cey, 2 for 4. Stepping in, a little guy, they call him a Penguin, out of the state of Washington. Very pleasant guy and a hard, tough competitor. The first pitch coming up to Cey is on that corner, strike one. Cey had the biggest part of his year in April with 29 RBIs a record and 9 home runs. He ended up with a 241 average. Cey waiting, the 1-strike pitch. Fastball inside as Lonborg goes in and out. Preston Gomez coaching at third. Jim Gilliam at first for the Dodgers as Lonborg delivers and Cey misses. A swing and a miss, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Last year, Lonborg had a brilliant 5 or 6 first innings and then collapsed. That was against the Cincinnati Reds. He looks about as sharp again this year. The 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. Curve, strike 3 called, and Cey is out of there. He is protesting the call to the plate umpire, Bob Engel. One thing I've noticed, Rob, there's been a lot more arguing. I noticed it in the American League game today and here last night than I've ever seen in championship play. A lot of beefing.
In the old days, they used to say, be a little liberal, but I don't know.
You mean the umpires or the players?
The umpires, but the umpires evidently are giving some reason for an argument.
Man, I'll tell you, they're fighting out there. Here's Steve Garvey stepping in. 3 for 4 last night. Chopped one in the hole. Blowout. A long throw. He's got him. And once again, Lonborg gets a man on a single pitch. So Garvey's out of there 6-3. Of the 5 outs so far by Jim Lonborg, Larry Bowa has assisted in 3 of them. Here's Dusty Baker. We didn't mention this before, but if you heard us last night, Smith, Cey, Garvey, and Baker set a new Major League record when they all connected for 30 home runs or more. And Baker got his on the final day of the season to join that illustrious threesome. So they're a quartet now. It never happened before. And Dusty Baker moving in and waiting. Here's Lonborg's first pitch. A slider outside for a ball. Baker with a 291 average overall, 86 RBIs. Had a knee operation in the offseason. And what a difference it made. There's a long drive to right field. Going over toward the line is Jay Johnstone. He's under it and takes it for the 3rd out. So once again, the Dodgers go down 1-2-3. After 2 innings of play, Phillies nothing, the Dodgers nothing.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies had a hard time to get into first place this year. They got into first place for the first time with an 8-3 win over the Dodgers on August the 4th. They knocked the Cubs down to second, a half game back. The Cubs had been in first place for 69 days. From April 3rd to April 16th, the Phillies won 13 straight games. Montreal ended that streak, but then the Phillies came back and won 6 more to make it 19 out of 20 and just about put the race away. The Phillies ended August with a record of 22-7. And led Pittsburgh by 5. September arrived, and they won 2 from the Reds to run their consecutive home victory to 16. After a loss to end that streak, the Phillies put together a 6-game streak to run their lead to 9. And from then on, it was just a matter of time. Philadelphia last year had a way of getting out in front from the beginning and held on. We're going now to the top of the 3rd. It's no score here in Los Angeles. And this is League Championship Series play. It started in 1966 when the Mets swept the Atlanta Braves and then went on to beat Baltimore in the World Series. Cincinnati made a clean sweep of the LCS in 1970, taking 3 straight from the Pirates. But Pittsburgh made the best of return trip in 1971, beating San Francisco 3-1. Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh 3-2 in 72. The Reds won the series in that situation, and then in 73, the Mets beat the Reds in 3-2. The Reds have dominated the LCS the past 2 seasons, sweeping past Pittsburgh and Philadelphia 3 straight. Right now, it's Philadelphia 1 and The Dodgers nothing in series play, and here again is Jerry Coleman.
Okay, Bake McBride comes on. We go to the top of the order again, and McBride in his first at-bat hit a high topper to the pitcher and was out easily, and the first one to McBride is ball one. McBride, Bowa, Schmidt, big speed, and the top three hitters for the Philadelphia Phillies. Bake McBride in his last 13 games, including last night's game, has a 13-game streak going. 23 of 25, 37 of 44, so he has been hot down the stretch. A swing and a miss by the Baker, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. When you think of Bake McBride and the Phillies having Gary Maddox, you wonder, what can you do with a guy like that when you've got the best center fielder in baseball? But Danny Ozark has utilized him to great effect, both men. Fastball outside, 2 balls and a strike.
When Philadelphia had their longest winning streak of 13 games, McBride was in center field, and Maddox was hurt.
And once again, if you missed it, Gary Maddox with a bad knee may not play in this series. The 2-1 pitch on the way to McBride, a swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes. They play him pretty much straight away. Lopes is fairly deep at second base for a man of McBride's speed. So far, Sutton has struck out 3, has given up 3 base hits. No score in the game. We're in the 3rd inning. A tight one. Sutton ready, the 2-2 delivery, and McBride hit one down the line in right field. It could carry, and the ball is gone. A home run for Bake McBride into the lower section in right field. Bake McBride with 15 home runs in the season unloads to put the Phillies on top 1-0.
McBride jumped on a pitch that was high and inside, a hanging curveball, I would guess, and he put it right down the line, and it was a quick home run, and it's a quick lead for the Phillies, 1-0.
Here's Larry Bowa, who dumped a single to left in the first inning and tries to bunt his way on and fouls it off for strike 1. The Phillies appear to be a different ball club than what we saw last year when they played Cincinnati. Against the Reds, they were absolutely fumbling and stumbling all over the place. In this series against the Dodgers, they've taken charge, they've been cool, collected, and they've turned in every opportunity. Now the 1-strike pitch to the little guy, Larry Bowa, out of Sacramento. There's that screwball. He swung and missed for strike 2. Bowa, 2 for 6 in the series thus far. A screwball to an inexperienced hitter can be devastating. Bowa faced a bad ball, and it dipped hard. The 2-strike pitch by Sutton. A screwball again, but he takes it this time. They ask for the appeal. Third base umpire says no. More and more you're seeing that in Major League Baseball. The catcher asking for the appeal on a check swing. A ball and 2 strikes. Bowa waits. Here's Sutton's delivery. A line drive off Sutton's glove. He has to run for it. The toss to first in time on a very close play. Tony Taylor, the first base coach, is arguing with Wendelstedt, and Bowa's just walking away.
Tony Taylor is arguing the play at first base. Now he gives that. It was close, but the man who hit the ball, Larry Bowa, did not argue.
So we have 1 down, a run across here in the 3rd inning, and Mike Schmidt steps in. Schmidt is 1 for 6. He struck out on his first at-bat in the 1st inning. Drove in that key run last night to put the Phillies ahead 6-5. The next one came in on a balk. Rather unusual game last night. There were 2 balks. They pitch on the way to Schmidt. Swung on a miss, strike 1. Sutton appears to have a devastating curveball, and when he gets it down, nobody seems to be making contact. The only ball that was hit was a high hanging curve by McBride. He laid it into the right field seat. The 1-strike pitch now, Sutton taking his time. Schmidt right on top of that plate, and the delivery by Sutton. Hit hard to left field on the line and hooking foul. At Dodger Stadium, there's a short wall about 3.5 to 4 feet that runs about 50 to 60 feet from the foul pole into the bullpen, and then that 8-foot wall picks up and runs across the rest of the field. That's in the left field corner and the right field corner. So a low line drive can get in there without going over an 8-foot wall. It's only about 4 feet. Looks to be about half the size of the regulation wall. Here's Schmidt waiting, and a 2-strike pitch by Sutton coming up. He went for the corner and missed it for a ball.
Jerry Coleman, you had that advantage at Yankee Stadium, the same thing.
In fact, it went all the way out. There was no wall out there, except the center field fence was 467 feet away, which was out of my reach.
Just a shade.
Just a bit. Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up to Schmidt, and he dribbles this one off toward the Phillies. Strike. Watching that game today in the American League in the playoffs between the Royals and the Yankees, the ballpark has been changed dramatically, especially in the outfield. It's 417 now to dead center, and looks like a fence of about 8 feet or so. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 down. Schmidt waits, Sutton fires, and misses inside. So Don Sutton going at the letters inside, didn't connect. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He got Schmidt striking out on that pitch the last time up. Outfield, way off to the left deep. The 2-2 delivery by Sutton is fouled back off the mask of the catcher.
You know, talking about some of the old ballparks, in Pittsburgh it was 457 to straightaway center field, and the Polo Grounds it was 483. So those parks very big in center field.
I tell you, if you were a straightaway hitter in those days, you had a serious problem on your hands. In some of those parks, like you mentioned, Forbes Field, Polo Grounds, Yankee Stadium, that was just out of reach. The 2-2 pitch coming up, and Schmidt chops it foul again.
As Casey Stengel would say, he'd have to look for another line of work.
You know, they've got new regulations for those who are not aware of it. In 1958, regulations for new ballparks are 325 down each line and 400 to dead center. So that there can be no more, as they say, Chinese home runs in the Polo Grounds. Unless the park has been built like Fenway or Wrigley Field in Chicago. Fastball is low and inside now. 3-2 to Mike Schmidt. This is the first time Sutton has gone this far to a hitter. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Greg Luzinski waiting in the on-deck circle. Don Sutton, the right-hander, and the veteran ready. Here's the 3-2 pitch on the way to Schmidt. A line drive to the shortstop, Russell, and he hauls it down. So Mike Schmidt lines out to Bill Russell for the second out here in the 3rd inning, and that'll bring in the bull, Greg Luzinski. Luzinski with 3 lifetime home runs against Sutton. And last night was the guy that put the Phillies on top with that shot off of Tommy John.
Jerry, you got your name and lights again up on the message board. It was a welcome to CBS Radio, and you and I.
A line drive foul by Greg Luzinski. That's kind of nice the way they do that here at Dodger Stadium. They get us all in, and there are enough broadcast crews that'll take them 9 innings to get everybody in.
One thing, you're a total failure if you cover this ballpark and your name isn't written on that message board.
Here's the 1-strike pitch on the way to Greg. A swing and a foul off. They caught by the catcher, strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes. Luzinski well forward in the batter's box. He's not one of those guys who gets deep. Here's a 2-strike delivery by Sutton. He went for the corner outside and missed it. A ball and 2 strikes. We're in the 3rd inning, the only run of the ball game. The home run by Bake McBride leading off the 3rd for the Phillies, and they're leading at 1-0. The Dodgers with their backs to the wall. They must win this one. They cannot go to Philadelphia down 2-0. 1 ball, 2 strikes coming up, and Luzinski hits it hard right center field. Rick Mundy's after it way back there. He can't get it. It's against the wall on 1 hop. Luzinski turns into second base and holds on. So the Bull drops one off the wall, a 1-hopper between the 395 and 385 mark, and Luzinski's at second with 2 gone.
Ricky Watanabe, please report to the Dodger office.
Well, the Dodgers hit more home runs than anybody in the National League this year, 191. The Phillies had 186, but right now it's been Philly power that's showing the way. Although you cannot discount the grand slam home run by Ron Cey last night that brought them back into the ball game. Richie Hebner, 1 for 1, steps in there with a runner at second and 2 down and takes strike 1. And now Hebner is having a chat with Bob Engel. Hebner, open stance against the right-hand hitters, deep in the box. Waiting. Here's the one-strike delivery. Hit hard to right field, and going forward is Smith. He's got it. Reggie Smith, barreling toward the line, pulled it down as Hebner, in a bid for extra bases, was cut down. 1 run, a couple of base hits, and a man left. After 2.5 innings, Phillies, a run on 5 hits. The Dodgers, no runs, no hits.
As we mentioned earlier, no National League team has lost an opening game in the playoffs at home and then come back to win the best-of-5 series. But there has been one American League team to do that. That was the 1974 Oakland A's, who lost their home opener and then won 3 straight over the Baltimore Orioles. And the A's went on to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers in 5 in the World Series. Pitcher Jerry Koosman says he's asked the New York Mets to sign him to a no-trade, no-cut contract, or trade him to the Minnesota Twins. The left-hander, who lost 20 games this year, says he wants a 5-year contract, which includes a substantial raise. He currently makes about $150,000 a year. The 34-year-old Koosman just returned home to Minnesota and says he'd rather not go on moving his family back and forth to New York, but would like to make his home in New York if the Mets reward him with the contract.
Well, Don Sutton has said about the Dodgers, we are like an octopus. You can roll down 6 or 7 tentacles, but there is still 1 or 2 that will get you. Well, the Dodgers better get a couple of those tentacles going. They're trailing by a score of 1-0 after 2.5. They lost the first game by a score of 7-5. And incidentally, if you didn't hear the American League Championship Series game today, Kansas City defeated the Yankees by a score of 7-2. And they will be on the air for tomorrow's game, as the Dodgers and Phillies have a day off. In tomorrow's game from Yankee Stadium, they will be on the air at 8:07 Eastern Daylight Time. Ed Martin and Ernie Harwell to bring that play-by-play to you. And now for the play-by-play here in Dodger Stadium. It's still a beautiful evening here in L.A. A lot of sunlight, and the lights are on. And it's Jerry Coleman.
Okay, Ralph Kiner and Rick Monday, Steve Yeager, Don Sutton coming on against Jim Lonborg. It's the bottom third of the Dodger batting order. Lonborg has been litter perfect thus far. He's going up against Rick Monday, who last night, as a pinch hitter, went 0 for 1. So Monday comes on to take his cuts for the first time. Glenn Burke against the left-handed Steve Garvey got the starting nod last night. Monday goes this evening. Rick Monday has had a bad back on and off since May the 31st and pretty much destroyed his year. He ended up hitting a .230. Left-hand batter waiting. Lonborg's first pitch. Hit hard to right field. After it is the right fielder Johnstone. It bounces in for a ground rule double. So Rick Monday laying for that fastball, unloaded. A one-hopper into the right field seat for a ground rule double, and the Dodgers have the tying run on here in the bottom of the third with nobody out. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
USPN Radio in the Canal Zone.
Steve Yeager, who went 0 for 4 last night, steps in. Yeager has a happy faculty as far as the Dodgers are concerned with coming up with some key base hits. Yeager this year batted at .256, 16 home runs, 55 RBIs, and the first pitch by Lonborg is chopped away on the left side foul. Yeager, a bull of a catcher. He loves contact. He loves the work. He has one of the strongest arms in all of baseball. A right-hand hitter against the right-handed Jim Lonborg, who goes in at 6'5". Lonborg with a runner at second. First time he has had to pitch from a stretch position. Third inning, 1-0 Philadelphia. Mundy drifting off at second. A pitch now to Yeager outside. 1-1. Preston Gomez keeping a sharp eye on Rick Mundy at second base to see that Ted Sizemore, the second baseman, doesn't drift in behind him on a pickoff attempt. And there he goes. Lonborg goes to the plate. A slow curve over the head of Yeager. Almost a bad pitch. 2 balls and a strike. That was a change-up curveball. The fans here mistook it for a knockdown pitch. Dodger Stadium, a packed house, and the house doesn't fill up till about the second or third inning because of the freeway and parking problem. There's a hard ground ball third, but foul. We started the game here at 5:15 here on the West Coast, and that is at the heart of prime drive time. And there are cars all over the freeways, and it takes about 2 or 3 innings to get this ballpark full. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Mundy again off at second base. Lonborg taking his time. Yeager, straightaway stance, bends at the knees, keeps swinging that bat, holds it high and waits. Here's the delivery by Lonborg. A curve that missed the corner. That's the one that he wanted. 3 balls, 2 strikes. A walk to Yeager would set up a natural sacrifice situation for the pitcher, Don Sutton. Lonborg again. Checks Mundy. Here's the 3-2 delivery. Chopped away foul as Yeager is pulling those hard sliders outside and getting the top of the bat on them. Yeager in and out of the batter's box. The outfield has Yeager pretty much straight away. Dead even in right field and left field. Fairly deep. He's got power. Lonborg taking a lot of time, straddling the mound, rubbing up the ball. Mike Schmidt, the third baseman, 15 to 20 feet, back of third, way off the line. Here's the 3-2 pitch, and there's a drive to right field. Going back is Johnstone. He's got it. Mundy tagging up, and Yeager does his job. He gets the man to third base. Steve Yeager got the runner to third, and now Don Sutton with a chance to try to get him in. And in a spot like this, you can look for anything. Good. Sutton, right-hand hitter. He's got a runner at third and one away. Sutton, an excellent bunter, has sacrificed successfully 10 times. So you never know. The infield is tight. They're going to try to choke off Mundy at the plate. You can look for the suicide squeeze just about anything. Sutton now standing and waiting. Lonborg being very deliberate. He's taking his time, looks at Mundy at third base. Here's the pitch to Sutton, and he chops a high one to the pitcher. Mundy freezes at third. They make the play to burst, and Mundy has to hold. Had Mundy committed himself immediately, he might have scored.
Very tough decision to make. He had to make it immediately. The ball was chopped high in the air. I think he would have made it, but I guess they didn't want to take that chance.
So Rick Mundy throws in at third base, and now it'll be up to Davey Lopes to try to get him in. Lopes in his first at-bat hit a sharp ground ball to the shortstop. He has gone 0 for 1 in this game. He is 2 for 6 overall. Davey with his best year ever, batted .283 this year. Right-hand hitter against the right-handed Lonborg. So Lonborg has an option here. He can toy with Lopes and make sure he gives him nothing good. Russell's behind him, another right-hand hitter. Lonborg is at the set, checks Mundy at third. The pitch to Lopes, a breaking ball low, ball 1. We're in the third inning. The only run on the ball game came in on Bake McBride's home run into the lower seats and right. Rick Mundy at third, watching. Here's Lonborg's delivery to Lopes. Hit on the end of the bat, a swift foul on the right side. Almost a base hit, within 2 or 3 feet. Lonborg has given up the 1 hit And that went to Rick Mundy opening up this inning. Yeager got on the third on the long fly to right. Sutton's high chopper left Mundy at third for 2 down. And now Dave Lopes with a count of 1 ball, 1 strike, trying to get him in and tie it up. Here's Lonborg again. And the pitch on the way to Lopes. The ground ball over the head of Schmidt. Great pitch. That's what they were talking about, that hard dirt in front of that plate. That ball jumped 1.5 feet, 1 hop over the head of Mike Schmidt. It went for a base hit.
This infield is like the Santa Ana Freeway. It is hard.
All right, Lopes who can run on at first as Russell, the shortstop, takes ball 1. In 1975, Lopes set an all-time Major League record with 38 consecutive steals. This year he's had 47. The last 2 years he led the league. There goes Lopes. The pitch is taken. The throw by Boone, and they got him. Lopes attempting to steal is cut down. An excellent throw by Bob Boone. So for the Dodgers here in the 3rd inning, a run on a couple of base hits and nobody left. After 3 innings of play, the Phillies won, the Dodgers won.
Earl Weaver of the Baltimore Orioles has been named Major League Manager of the Year by the Sporting News. Also receiving votes in the balloting, Whitey Herzog of the Kansas City Royals, Bob Lemon of the Chicago White Sox, Herman Franks of the Chicago Cubs, Tom Lasorda of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Billy Martin of the Yankees, and Gene Mauch of Minnesota. Despite losing 4 starters in the free agent re-entry draft, Weaver kept the Orioles in the American League East race until the last 3 days of the season. And usually this is the way the voting goes as far as the manager of the year is concerned. They don't go with a manager who wins the division. They go with a manager who, this is generally the way they do it, they go with a manager whom they feel has done the best with the least amount of material. And I think most people would certainly agree that with the Baltimore Orioles situation and 4 of the starters, not just 4 players, 4 starters gone in the free agent re-entry draft, most folks wrote off the Orioles before the season ever started, but as it was, Earl Weaver kept the Orioles in the race until the next to the last day of the 1977 season, to the 2 days before the end of the season. So he did quite a job with that ball club. Fullback Earl Campbell of Texas, with a 4-touchdown performance against Rice last weekend, has moved into the major college scoring league with 42 points in 3 games. Teammate Russell Exerblin moved into 2nd place with Carlos Carson of LSU with 36 points. Exerblin has kicked 21 extra points and 5 field goals, including an NCAA record 67-yarder.
Jay Johnstone is stepping in. Johnstone struck out on the 2nd inning. We're into the 4th inning now, and it's all even at 1 apiece. A tight ball game. Don Sutton going up against Jim Lonborg. And the first pitch by Sutton on the way to Johnstone is low and inside. I'm Jerry Coleman along with Ralph Kiner at Dodger Stadium. It's the 2nd game of the championship series in the National League. Phillies won it last night. Dodgers trying to stay alive in this one. Here's the delivery to Johnstone. A swing and a miss. The bat goes to first base. The ball behind the plate. Well, Johnstone gets longest throw of bats for the game so far. That ball came back one way, and the bat went out towards Steve Garvey at first. 1-1 the count. And now Jay, who's got golf gloves on both hands, is going to moisten them up a little bit to make sure he's got a better grip. And if there's anything symbolic of the new era of baseball, it's the golf glove for the hitters, Ralph Kiner.
Yes, sir, Jerry, and I either started it or Ted Williams. I used to take an awful lot of batting practice. I also played a lot of golf, and I used it to keep from having calluses and blisters, but it has really graduated into the game.
All right, here's the 1-1 pitch on the way to Jay, and he takes it low and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Don Sutton checking out his catcher again, Yeager. The 2-1 pitch on the way to Johnstone, and it's good for a strike. 2-2. Outfield drifting off to the right side. They give him left center. Reggie Smith, fairly shallow in right field. Not as far back as you might expect. Johnstone, a sharp ground ball to first. Garvey's going to do it by himself. He makes the play unassisted. So that's all for Jay Johnstone. One gone for the Phillies here in the fourth. Now Bob Boone steps in. Boone bounced to short in the second inning. The Phillies will leave immediately after the ball game and head for Philadelphia. The Dodgers will fly in tomorrow. And then tomorrow evening at 8:07 Eastern Daylight Time, Ned Martin and Ernie Hartwell right here on CBS Radio. You'll hear the second game in the American League Championship Series between the Royals and the Yanks. Royals won the first one today by a 7-2 score. Bob Boone, right-hand batter, takes strike one as Don Sutton starting to sharpen up a little bit. One down, nobody on. The next one on the way to Boone, and it's low. 1 ball, 1 strike. When Steve Carlton pitches for the Phillies, Tim McCarver is the catcher. Anybody else, it's Bob Boone. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 away. 1-1 score, 4th inning. Boone trying to give the Phillies a shot here. And the next one by Sutton is on the way. And Boone swings and misses. A ball and 2 strikes. Sutton keeping a sharp slider down on Bob Boone. Sutton ready again. Here's the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. It's coming up, and Boone fouls it back. Don Sutton this year gave up a team high of 23 home runs, and a few years ago, that was one of his main problems in life. The home run ball that really hurt him. Then he got it down where it was more of a situation that he could live with, but this year had more problems. There's a fly to left field, fairly short. Dusty Baker drifting in and takes it for the second out. So Boone flies to short left field. 2 down, nobody on. Ted Sizemore steps in. Sizemore singled to center in the second inning. And here's a spot where it looks like a throwaway at-bat. But if Sizemore can get on, it's a key part of the game. That means you can get Lonborg up there for that final out and start with the top of the order in the 5th. So Sizemore will be trying to do his thing to get on. That's part of hitting in that number 8 spot. It's a key part of that spot. There's a fastball high to Sizemore for ball 1. 2 down. Nobody on. 1-1 tie, 4th inning. Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers and the Phillies. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Hard ground ball. Pardon me, a line drive grabbed by Ron Cey before it hit the ground, and Sizemore's out of there. Excellent play by Cey. A leaping grab of a ball before it got to the ground to retire Sizemore. So Ron Cey grabs a nice one here. The Phillies are down 1-2-3 in the 4th, and after 3.5, Phillies won, the Dodgers won.
Promoter Don King says the World Boxing Council has approved the scheduled November 5th heavyweight fight between Ken Norton and Jimmy Young as a title elimination bout. And King says the Las Vegas fight will be rescheduled for 15 rounds instead of 12. The WBC has said it might strip the heavyweight crown from Muhammad Ali if he doesn't fight the Norton-Young winner.
On the message board, a happy birthday to Fred Clare, who is the vice president in charge of public relations and promotions for the Dodgers. And he certainly has done quite a job setting up all the facilities here for the championship playoff game. The games move on to Philadelphia. Games number 3, 4, and 5 if necessary. Thursday is a travel date. And we'll be bringing you the Friday game at 3:07 Eastern Daylight Time. So on Friday, it'll be Bert Hooden, 12-7 for the season against Larry Christensen, 19-6. Christensen finished with 15 wins in his last 16 decisions. Of course, this game is the crucial game for the Dodgers. They have to win this to really match mathematically stay into a challenging position. Phillies awful tough to beat in their home park, Veterans Stadium, and they will be going home to a very friendly place. They won 16, lost only 21 at Veterans Stadium this season, and they lost their first five of that 21. So they have been especially tough after getting off to that 4 start. Phillies won 101 games, lost 61 in the regular season. The Dodgers won 98 and lost 64. And now as we go to the bottom of the 4th in a tie ball game at 1, once again, Jerry Coleman.
Well, kind of that home park advantage does exist, and yet the Phillies turned it around last night on the Dodgers and grabbed that first big one. They're trying for 2 in a row. The Dodgers trying to come back to win their first game. The second, third, and fourth hitters coming on for Los Angeles. Russell, Smith, and Cey going up against Jim Lonborg. And I believe the story in the Dodger dugout is stay close to him and we'll get him in the latter inning. Russell, 0 for 6 so far in the series. Stepping in right now after bouncing the short in the first inning. Bill fouls this one back for strike 1.
You know, Aaron, you said that reminds me of the great Charlie Dressen story. Charlie was an outstanding manager. They were losing by a score of 9-0, and Charlie said to the team, hold them right there and I'll think of something.
If you know Charlie Dressen, you understand it. Here's the 1-strike pitch. It's a curveball high, 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Charlie Dressen made the mistake of fighting for a 2-year contract. The Dodgers would not give him a 2-year contract, and he got fired over it. They brought in a guy that nobody ever heard of, Smokey Alston. There's a line drive left center field. It drops for a base hit. Bill Russell, with his first hit of the series, drops one into left center field. It gets things rolling for the Dodgers. So a runner at first base, nobody out. Here comes Reggie Smith. Reggie Smith has had the collar in the series. 0 for 3, make that 0 for 4 last night, and 0 for 1 in this game for a total of nothing for 5. Batting from the left side, facing Jim Lonborg. The infield tight, double play depth. First pitch low and outside, ball 1. Lonborg kicking at the dirt a little bit for a better footing. Russell, short lead at first. Jim Gilliam coaching at first, yelling something to him. Here's the pitch by Lonborg. It's a line drive, center field base hit. Up with it is Bake McBride, and holding at second base is Bill Russell. Back-to-back singles by Russell and Smith, and the Dodgers are rolling. Out in the second inning. Stepping in with runners at first and second. It's a 1-1 tie, last half of the 4th inning. Now Cey out checking his third base coach, Preston Gomez. I don't think the Dodgers are going to get cute with their number 4 hitter. First pitch to Cey is foul back, strike 1, and I mean that was a vicious cut. Warren Brewster, a right-hander, a young right-hander, throwing rapidly in the Philadelphia bullpen. A solid shot by Russell. A solid base hit by Reggie Smith. Runners at first and second, nobody out. A 1-strike count to the number 4 batter, Ron Cey. Lonborg is ready. Cey waits and squares the butt and does on the first base side. Up with it is Lonborg, and just in time at first base in his sacrifice work. Ron Cey laid down a perfect bunt. Manager Danny Ozark out of the Philadelphia dugout. He wants to check the situation. Steve Garvey is the hitter, and behind him it's Dusty Baker. Well, I don't know if you got a choice there.
I wonder if he would walk Steve Garvey in this spot. It'd be very interesting. It's still an early ball game, and Garvey and Watt would load up the bases and bring up Dusty Baker, and that's exactly what they got to be talking about.
In the series, Garvey is 3 for 5. Baker is 1 for 4. Last night, Steve had 3 base hits and 4 trips. Garvey, of course, the number 1 RBI man for the Dodgers, and their leading home run hitter with 33 and 115. So let's see what happens here. The infield is tight, and Garvey is going to be put on with an intentional walk to load him up for Dusty Baker.
The great intentional walks of all time came with the bases loaded in Mel Watt, a great home run hitter with 511 career home runs batting. Mel Watt was walked intentionally with the Giants leading by 4 runs. They felt that if he hit a home run, it would, with the Giants losing by 4 runs, it would make a big difference in the ball game, and they walked Mel Watt to force the run and pitch to the other batter.
Well, right now, Jim Lonborg has a problem on his hands. He's got Dusty Baker up there, and behind him, Rick Mundy, who doubled into the right field corner to follow. So let's see what happens. Lonborg has all he can handle right now. He's got a 1-1 ball game. The Dodgers are pushing at it. The bases are loaded. 1 away. Dusty Baker stepping in. He flies to right field in the second. Lonborg's first pitch to Baker is outside for ball 1. Philadelphia, a run on 5 hits. The Dodgers, a run on 4 hits. But the Dodgers, with the bases loaded and 1 gone. Russell at third, Smith at second, Garvey at first. Baker waiting, and Lonborg's delivery is fouled off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Just suddenly, after Lonborg went through the first 2 innings, 3 up and 3 down, he ran into some trouble in the third, gave up a base hit on the run. And then here in the 4th inning, back-to-back singles, a sacrifice, and an intentional pass, and the bases are loaded, and Lonborg is back to the wall. Baker waiting. Here's the 1-1 delivery coming up, fouled back. Strike 2, a ball and 2 strikes. Might have been out of that strike zone, and he reached for it. Lonborg, as we mentioned, 10 years ago, the hero of the Boston Red Sox and all of New England as he pitched the Red Sox into the World Series and lost to the St. Louis Cardinals. And now he's out battling for the Phillies. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Baker. Hit hard, way back to the wall, a grand slam home run. The second grand slam home run by the Dodgers in this series, and they've run up a 5-1 lead with Rick Mundy moving in, 1 out and nobody on. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. The pitch on the way to Mundy is low and outside, ball 1. It was a slider that hung right up into the belt. And Baker laid into it and shot it over that 360 mark. Just got over the wall. 4 big runs scored across. The Dodgers now with a commanding 5-1 lead. Ground ball. The second baseman right through him. Sizemore ran through it. Sizemore tried to one-hand the grounder and ran right over it for an error. So the Phillies coming apart here in the fourth inning. Now the catcher, Steve Yeager, stepping in. Well, last night, Ron Cey hit the first grand slam home run in championship play. Dusty Baker, not to be outdone, followed him with one here in the fourth inning. Dodgers leading at 5-1. Monday at first, Yeager, the catcher, takes outside ball one. Jim Lonborg, you could see him giving ground out there. Suddenly, in the fourth inning, it all got away. Manager Danny Ozark hoping Lonborg can finish this inning so he can use a pinch hitter to start off the fifth. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Popped up. Coming back is the catcher, Boone. The first baseman, Hebner's over there. Boone under it and makes the play. So Yeager fouls out to Bob Boone. Second out here in the fourth. And that'll bring up the pitcher, Don Sutton. We're in the fourth inning. Dodgers have taken a 5-1 lead on a grand slam home run by Dusty Baker. That was his second hit in the series. Baker last night had an infield single in the sixth inning.
Second base umpire Bruce Fromming has said that second base is not saddled down, so it looks like they're going to have to change and put a new base out there.
You know, at San Diego Stadium this year, we lost more bases at second base than you can shake a stick at. Lou Brock tied and set a new record there. We lost 2 there. And then our young left fielder, Gene Richards, set a new rookie stolen base record. We lost 2 more. So, you know, we may have to borrow one to get the season underway next year.
Going to run out of second base.
I don't know.
That's got to be a first.
Well, it's so different now. They used to bury the bag with those 4 long spikes, and now they just put it in a hole. It's already preset and cemented, and apparently the runner or the peg in that one doesn't fit squarely. Maybe it's a round hole and a square peg or whatever. I don't know.
They're bringing one in from the left field bullpen area, the grounds crew, one of the members of the grounds crew. You know, it's really been an exciting series. Ron Cey with his grand slam home run in yesterday's ball game. And that probably will not be remembered because the Dodgers did not win the ball game. Timing is everything. And when you make one of those great sensational moves that turns into an epic, the main thing you got to do is make it when your team wins.
Well, right now, the Dodgers are sitting on top 5-1. They've got a runner at first base, Rick Monday, and we're waiting now for Don Sutton, and we still can't find a base that fits in that hole out there at second. So this ball game, in a rather unusual set of circumstances, is being delayed. I'm not quite sure what the problem is. The Phillies are coming off the field, but it looks as though we have a serious problem. The Phillies, at least the infielders, are walking off the field. The outfielders are congregating out there, and this may be one of those embarrassing moments in Dodger Stadium.
They have a rectangular post that goes down in the ground, and then you insert a rectangular piece into that, and evidently one of the two is bent, so they cannot put the base on all the way down to the ground, and we might have a little bit of time left here.
Now, Chub Feeney, the National League president, and I'm getting into something that is far-fetched, but if the game couldn't continue, would have to make a ruling here. And he's sitting right down behind the Dodger dugout. I think Bruce Fremming is standing on second base right now, and it doesn't appear to be too bad. It's up. No, actually, he's got it upside down. The peg has broken off, apparently, Ralph. That long rectangular steel sphere that comes down is broken off, and apparently they're looking for one that will work or fit.
I think the problem is the piece that is broken is still in that hole there, and they'll have to get it out or put a new holding piece in there. We just want to take a minute now to remind you fans that there's a lot more baseball excitement for you on most of these stations. The World Series, of course, Starting October 11th, CBS Radio Sports will bring you all the play-by-play action as the two league winners fight it out for the World Championship. No need to miss a single game. Take along a portable wherever you go and follow the World Series over most of the CBS Radio Network stations.
Well, while we're waiting for the Dodgers to find a base that will be appropriate to go out there at second, let's recap the scoring. It was a 0-0 ball game through the first 2 innings. And then in the third inning, Bake McBride led it off and popped one into the lower right field seat to put the Phillies on top 1-0. The Dodgers came right back in the bottom of the third inning. Rick Mundy started it with a ground rule double, and with 2 down, Lopes singled to bring him in, and it was all tied at 1. Now they're bringing in what they hope will be a satisfactory solution to the second base problem. Here in the fourth inning, Bill Russell started with a single to left center. It was his first hit of the series. Then Reggie Smith hit a line single to center field, his first hit of the series. Ron Cey, the cleanup man, after taking a big swipe at a fastball and fouling it back, laid down a beautiful sacrifice bunt to advance the runners to second and third. Then manager Danny Ozark came out and had a chat with Jim Lonborg, and the strategy was set. Give Steve Garvey an intentional walk and pitch to Dusty Baker, which they did. So the bases were loaded when Baker came up there, and Baker responded with a grand slam home run that cleared the 360 mark. The Dodgers went on top 5-1. Rick Mundy came up and hit a low grass-cutting grounder to the second baseman, Ted Sizemore, and he ran by it for an error. Steve Yeager fouled to the catcher, Mundy holding at first base. Don Sutton was about to come to home plate, and then we ran into second base, and we're still trying to resolve that problem. And at the moment, they are digging up second base, and the resounding cheers you're hearing in the background is a big beach ball that's being popped around among the crowd.
Anything to pass away the time here at Dodger Stadium. We're talking about Chubb Finney. Yesterday's ball game, Chubb Finney, the president of the National League, has given a phone extension and a phone in case any problems arise, and he can communicate with the people around the stadium, as this is really his game and he's in charge of it. And his extension was given to him, and on the message board during the game, they put up a message that said, call extension 401 to order Dodger season tickets for next year. And he was getting all the calls. And he didn't know what was going on, and they were calling for Dodger tickets, and every one that he got, he'd be free to call tomorrow when the box office is open.
I'll say one thing. This has been a first ever. I do not recall it having happened ever with this kind of a base. I've seen it with the old bases when they were torn loose, but never like this. Now let's take a brief update from CBS News.
This is Doug Poling reporting on the CBS Radio Network. A Pan Am jumbo jet en route from San Francisco to Tokyo was diverted to Vancouver, Canada today after a note was found aboard saying there were 8 bombs hidden on the plane. The note said some of the passengers are to be let off in Vancouver and the plane is to go on to Mexico. In New York, a Pan Am spokesman said the incident may be a hoax. President Carter flew back to Washington tonight after 2 days of diplomatic activity at the United Nations in New York. The president said his lengthy talks with Israeli Foreign Minister Dayan enhanced the possibility of a Geneva peace conference. The House Ways and Means Committee has completed action on a bill that would sharply increase Social Security taxes withheld from workers' paychecks. Republicans tried without success to trim the increases. Top officials of the United Auto Workers Union have voted against reaffiliation with the AFL-CIO. Union President Douglas Fraser favored the action, but other officials claimed rank-and-file union members prefer to keep the UAW independent. Now back to the National League playoff game in Los Angeles. This is Doug Poling, CBS News.
Well, they're still working on second base, and they had to do that. Who's there to get the cement block that holds the spike that they put the base into out of the ground, and with Walter O'Malley's luck, the owner of the Dodgers, they'll strike oil. But they are now filling that hole in, And they're packing the dirt down. It looks like we'll be getting underway very shortly, as the ground crew had to come in because of a difficulty at second base. I don't know who broke it, Jerry Coleman, but if anybody did, it would have to be Dusty Baker as he rounded the bases after hitting that grand slam home run. He had to be one of the happy men. And the Dodgers had an exciting thing happen to them. They had 3 men on the team that had hit 30 or more home runs, and in the history of Major League Baseball, no team had ever had 4 men to hit 30. Dusty Baker had 29, and he went for about 5 days without a home run, and in his last time at bat, on the final day of the season, he hit a home run to make a record of 4 men on one team hitting 30 or more home runs. A few years back, the Atlanta Braves had 3 men on one team hit 40 or more home runs, and that was a record. And then the question is, would you rather have 4 men hitting 30 or 3 men hitting 40? 3 men for the Atlanta Braves: Hank Aaron, Darrell Evans, and Dave Johnson, who is now a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. Dave Johnson broke an all-time record for home runs by a second baseman that year, 43, breaking a record set originally by Rogers Hornsby, one of the greatest hitters of all time.
There was another record along those lines, Ralph, that extended even further. The New York Yankees back in 1961 had 6 men hit 20 or more. That was the year that Maris and Mantle went for it, and Maris broke the record. And Howard, Elson Howard, Yogi Berra, Johnny Blanchard, and Bill Skowron were part of that 6th. And that was a very powerful lineup, maybe one of the most powerful of all time.
Certainly was. Roger Maris with 61 home runs, and also Mickey Mantle coming up with, I believe, 54, was it?
54, and that was tied your record, actually, because you are second all-time in the National League. And tell me about it. I think it was, what, 1948 or
1949.
49. How close did you come? Did you get the 54 on the last day, or did you have a week to go after Hack Wilson's 56?
I had 1 day to hit 2 home runs because I hit 16 home runs the last month of September, and I was really coming up from a pretty far away position, but I had 1 day to do it and failed to do it. Not many people talk too much about the National League home run record of 56 set by Hack Wilson back in 1930. That year he also drove in 190 runs, which is the all-time RBI record for a single season. No one has even come remotely close in this era of baseball, but George Foster did have 149 this year for an outstanding year with 52 home runs.
Just briefly, Ralph Kiner, let me ask you. You can put yourself, I'm sure, into the position of Roger Maris, going for Ruth's record, which he broke on the final day of the season. What is it like to be in that kind of a spot? Is there any sanity around you anywhere?
Well, it wasn't quite as bad for me because it was done in 49 before really a lot of media coverage. But Roger Maris in 61 had to contend with television. He had to contend with more and more radio, and also, of course, the newspapers. And it affected Roger to the point where his hair started falling out. It was a nerve-wracking thing, and it was amazing to me that he could pull it off. I always felt that if anybody was going to break Babe Ruth's record, it would be by a number larger than 1. I would think that the pressure of just having only 1 day to hit 1, and he did it on the last day of the season, winning a ball game 1-0, hitting the home run off Tracy Stallard. But Roger did pull it off. I have to say this, and defense of all the Babe Ruth fans, Roger Maris had the extended season of 162 games. Babe Ruth had his 60 home runs in 154 games.
All right, I've got to ask Ralph Kiner one more question because it has a direct bearing on how many home runs you hit. How many would you have hit with Mickey Mantle hitting behind you?
You got to hit a lot more, and the one thing I can tell you, which is the most amazing thing about Roger Maris's record, the year he hit 61 home runs, he did not receive 1 intentional walk because Mickey Mantle was hitting behind him.
Who did you have behind you? And I don't mean to tear him down, but I'm sure there was no Mickey Mantle there.
There was no Mickey Mantle. We had quite a few hitting behind me.
Several.
And they didn't like me because they would get knocked down after I'd hit the home run.
Okay, Ralph Kiner, we've got things pretty well organized here, at least on the broadcast side we do. The second base has been put into shape, but the Dodgers on the field have the Phillies down 5-1. Don Sutton is going to come up to take his flight. There's a runner at first base. It is Rick Monday. And the action will continue as soon as we can find the batter for the Dodgers, Don Sutton, who seems to have disappeared.
Knowing Don Sutton, he's down hitting practice golf shots.
If you missed it, second base, for whatever reason, became dislodged. And apparently that metal spike that fits into the ground, into the permanent base, broke off or was snapped off, and they had to replace the base, the complete base. And that took about 10 minutes, so we had that 10-minute delay. And now we are waiting for Don Sutton to make an appearance, who may have been in getting a rub down or whatever. And here he comes. Number 20, Don Sutton, who has to be fat and happy right now. He has a 4-run lead. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Dodgers on top 5-1. And if you missed it, if you just tuned in, Dusty Baker, a grand slam home run here in this inning to give the Dodgers that 5-1 margin. Now Don Sutton steps up. At first base, Monday drifting off. Outfield shaded to the right. Infield shallow. And the pitch to Sutton is low and inside by Lonborg for ball 1. Lonborg at the set again. Sutton waits and the pitch. Foul back. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1. One ball, 1 strike, 2 down. Lonborg again at the set position and steps back off the rubber. Monday in this spot, I do not think will run with a pitcher hitting and 2 down. Hebner holding against Rick anyway with a short lead. The pitch to Sutton is on that corner, strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Philadelphia bullpen had Warren Brewster warming up. There's another man down there going, so we'll have to wait and see who comes on. There's a foul away by Sutton, a ball and 2 strikes. Lonborg will be the lead hitter in the top of the 5th inning, and more than likely will go for a pinch hitter. Dodgers on top 5-1 as Lonborg at the set. The 1-2 pitch to Sutton. A chopper up the middle. Up with it is Bowa, the shortstop, over to first base in time to get Sutton, and that's all for the Dodgers as they send 8 men to the plate. 4 big runs coming across on the grand slam home run by Dusty Baker. After 4 innings of play, Dodgers 5 runs, 5 hits. The Phillies 1 run, 5 hits.
History is on the side of the Kansas City Royals after their 7-2 victory over the New York Yankees in Game 1 of the American League playoffs. Only once since the league playoff series began in 1969 has a visiting team won the opening game and not gone on to win the championship. Royals manager Whitey Herzog says that the victory means that only one thing to him. As he says, it gives us a 1-game lead, and that's all.
Well, we're waiting for Don Sutton to come out and take his warm-up pitches, and Sutton enjoying a lead of 5-1. Don Sutton has been a big man for the Dodgers. He has won 190 ball games. He is second to Don Drysdale and Andy Barma. Drysdale leads the Dodger list with 209 victories. Don Sutton also is very high in shutouts. He's had 47 in his major league career. He had 3 of them this year. Drysdale has the all-time lead at 49. Sutton is also second in innings pitched. Drysdale with 3,432. Sutton had 3,052 in a third. And Don Sutton now on top with a lead of 5-1. There's action in the bullpen. We're going to have a pinch hitter for the Philadelphia Phillies. And this ball game, the reverse of last night's ball game, as the Dodgers are on top by a good margin. And yesterday's ball game, it was the Phillies that got out in front. They led by a score of 2-0 after the first and added 2 more in the 5th inning, leading by a score of 4-0. In the bottom of the 5th, the Dodgers got a run back to make it a 4-1 ball game, but then the Phillies in the 6th inning added another to lead by 5-1. Then the thrilling grand slam home run by Ron Cey tied it up at 5-5. And then in the 9th inning, the Phillies won it with 1 man out. Bake McBride singled to right field. Larry Bowa singled over the head of the second baseman, putting runners at first and second. Mike Schmidt singled to left field to drive in the go-ahead run. And then the final run of the ball game, giving the Phillies the victory 7-5, came in a box. So we've had the opposite. in this ball game with the Dodgers on top 5-1. And once again, here's Jerry Coleman.
Okay, Ralph Kiner. Tommy Hutton coming on to bat for Jim Lonborg. So Lonborg gives ground to the left-hand hitting Hutton, who is primarily a defensive player. It hits the first pitch high in the air to left field with Dusty Baker camping under it and grabbing it for the first out here in the 5th inning. 5-1 Los Angeles. Top of the 5th, but now Bake McBride, who is responsible for the only Philly run with his home run in the 3rd, comes on. McBride, 3 for 7 in the series. Left-hand hitter with big speed. In the 3rd game in Philadelphia, which will be on Friday, starting at 3:07 Eastern Standard Time, make that Eastern Daylight Time. The first pitch by Sutton coming up to McBride is good for a fence. Then it is Bridges for the Dodgers, and Larry Christensen going for Philadelphia. McBride, left-hand hitter, has a strike count on him. 1 gone, nobody on. 5-1 Los Angeles, 5th inning. A check swing, and the ball pops off the bat and goes back against the screen. No balls, 2 strikes. Outfield playing McBride and his dead straightaway. Very trim, pencil-thin athlete. Bends all over when he hits. Chokes up about an inch and takes outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. McBride back in there again from the left side. Sutton has a sign from Yeager. The 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. The screwball right through the glove of Sutton behind second is Russell. Can he make the play? Not in time. Sutton missed the ball. A comebacker right through his glove. Russell almost came up with a miracle play. But McBride's speed, not much you can do about that when you can run the way he can run. So Bake McBride with an infield hit on at first base. 1 away. Here's Larry Bowa. Bowa singled and bounced to the pitcher. Bowa's 2 for 7, has scored twice in this series. The pitch on the way to Bowa is a chopper to Garvey. He touched first. They got McBride hung up, and he's gone. A double play. A reverse double play that went 3-6. So the Phillies go down in a hurry here in the 5th inning. No runs ahead and nobody left. After 4.5 innings of play, it's the Dodgers 5 runs, 5 hits. The Phillies 1 run and 6 hits. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers, a couple of ball clubs that appear to be extremely evenly matched. The power pretty much the same, although spread out among 4 players. Smith, Cey, Garvey, and Baker for the Dodgers. The power for the Phillies, a couple of big men, Mike Schmidt and Greg Luzinski, with some outside help from Richie Hebner. But the thing that seems to change these 2 ball clubs is the pitching. The Dodgers have the starters and a weak bullpen. The Phillies have a questionable starting staff and a very strong bullpen. In the bullpen, Brewster,
Number 42.
Garber, Reed, and McGraw. There are 4 of them out there, all of them tough, and all can be used in almost any spot in the lineup. So, manager Danny Ozark will be going to that bullpen, and he'll be using it extensively in this ball game today. We've gone through 4.5 innings of play. The Dodgers have taken a 5-1 lead, and if you haven't heard it before, we'll tell you one more time. Dusty Baker's grand slam home run in the 4th inning has been the catalyst in this ball game. A giant right-hander, Ron Reed, at 6'6", an ex-pro basketball player coming off for the Phillies, and to call it for you in the second half of the ball game, Hall of Famer and one of the all-time great sluggers in the National League, Ralph Kiner. Ralph, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jerry Coleman. And the new pitcher for the Phillies, Ron Reed. Reed with a record of 7-5 in the regular season. He also had 15 saves, and his earned run average at 2.76. He was in 60 ball games for the Phillies this year. And Davey Lopes, the first batter. And Dave Lopes, 3 for 7 in this series. Right-hand batter. And Reed's first pitch on the outside corner, called strike. Reed played for Notre Dame and also the Detroit Pistons, and the pitch high, a fastball missing, 1 ball, 1 strike. Reed was a starting pitcher in the early part of his career, has gone to relief pitching and has done an excellent job, but he comes back and catches another strike with a fastball. It's 1-2. Reed first appeared in the major leagues back in 1966 with the Atlanta Braves. 1967, he won 14 and lost 10. His best year was in 1969 when the Braves were the Western Division champions of the National League. He won 18 and lost 10. And Reed's next pitch is lined right after second baseman Ted Sizemore. So Lopes are hard out on the line drive to second. That'll bring up Bill Russell. Reed was the winning pitcher tonight that Hank Aaron hit home run number 715 off the Dodgers. Attended Notre Dame, where he played baseball and basketball. Played for the Detroit Pistons, averaging 7.5 points to 8.5 points per game. So he has been an outstanding player. First pitch is strike to Russell. Now a changeup, and he's got a real good changeup. And Russell pulled completely way out in front, pulls it almost over his left shoulder into the stand. Reed takes an awful lot, and with that big floppy motion of his, it's a very tough pitch. Russell 1 for 7. And the next pitch is hit in the air out to shallow right field. Moving up in the ball is Jay Johnstone, and he makes the catch. 2 men away. That'll bring up Reggie Smith. Dodgers leading 5-1. Reggie Smith has had a base hit in this game. His first in the series. He's 1 for 6. And his base hit batting from the left-hand side. A vicious line drive into center field. And the first pitch by Reed, a changeup. It's too low for a ball. They appealed to the third base umpire for a decision as to whether or not Smith did swing, and he said no. Smith at 307 in the regular season with 32 home runs, 87 RBIs. And the pitch back, a strike, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Reggie was voted the most valuable player on the Dodgers. He is a very versatile man, has a lot of talent. The next pitch, a fastball foul back out of play, 1-2. Reggie flies his own airplane. He also is a gourmet cook, specializing in Chinese food. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the next pitch is taken just low. Slider that misses below the knees, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Smith has one of the great throwing arms in baseball. And at 2-2, the pitch is a half swing, and he is out on a swinging strike. Smith didn't like that call. He had the bat very much close to his shoulder and turned his whole body around. But home plate umpire Bob Ingalls said he did swing, and that's strike 3. Reed gets his first strikeout in the 1-2-3 inning, and the score at the end of 5 innings here in Dodger Stadium. It's the Dodgers 5 and the Philadelphia Phillies 1.
Bad news for the New York Yankees. New York Yankee manager Don Gullett, according to manager Billy Martin, is virtually certain not to pitch again in this year's American League playoffs. The multi-million-dollar pitcher left the game on Wednesday after the second inning with a sore shoulder, and according to trainer Gene Monahan, Gullett's entire left shoulder is aching, and Martin says it's the same shoulder trouble that put Gullett on the disabled list for most of August. And because that injury kept the lefty out for several weeks, Martin feels Gullett's postseason pitching is over for this year. Gullett was tagged for 4 runs in his 2 innings and was the loser as the Yanks dropped the playoff opener to Kansas City 7-2. So, according to manager Billy Martin of the Yankees and Yankee trainer Gene Monahan, it's virtually certain that left-hander Don Gullett will not pitch again in this year's American League playoffs.
This time of year, you often hear baseball fans saying, wait till next year. And while your favorite team is planning for 1978, you should too by ordering season tickets. Now's the time when the best locations are available for your family or your business. So if you missed any of baseball's excitement this past season, act now. Insured choice seats for all of the fun of 1978. You'll find yourself saying that I just can't wait till next year. The preceding has been brought to you on behalf of Major League Baseball. And now as we come into the sixth inning, let's go right back to Ralph Kiner.
Okay, and it's going to be Mike Schmidt to lead off. Mike has struck out and lined out, and it's 2 times up. Don Sutton working on the mound. Don has given up 1 run on 6 hits. The Dodgers have 5 runs on 5. The big blow, the home run with the bases loaded by Dusty Baker. And Sutton's first pitch is hit in the air to center field. Right there, though, is Rick Mundy, and he puts it away. 1 pitch and 1 away. Sutton has been getting a lot of batters out on 1 pitch. They have a championship series quiz here at Dodger Stadium with grand slams by Dusty Baker tonight and Ron Cey last night. There now have been a total of 3 in play in LCS play. The first was hit by a Baltimore player in 1970. Can you name the Oriole player who hit that first grand slam? So we'll let you work on that a while we watch the bull bat, Greg Luzinski. And the first pitch to Luzinski, it is a strike. Luzinski doubled into right center field in the third after grounding out in the second. And Sutton's next pitch is taken high and outside. They counted 1 ball and 1 strike. We have just had the answer to that quiz passed on, and for any of you that can get it, you deserve to have 3 tickets for baseball the rest of your life. And now the pitch swung on and missed. It's 1 and 2. We're not going to say you will have, but you certainly deserve to have. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And now Sutton deliberately back, and the breaking ball is grounded foul. Sutton has been working with a very rhythmic pace. He has been very calm and cool on the mound. Got off to a shaky start, but then worked out of a big jam in the second. Gave up a home run to McBride in the third. Worked the inning 1, 2, 3 in the fourth. And now a line shot to right center field. Smith over a running, and he one-hands it as Luzinski drills one to right center field. That's hauled in by Reggie Smith. So that'll bring up Richie Hebner with 2 in away. Hebner has a base hit and 2 times up. He broke his bat and singled to right field in the second, and then hit a line drive to right field in the third. Hebner, a left-hand batter, and the first pitch is swung on and foul tipped. The ball down in the dirt. It's strike 1. Hebner was a pinch hitter in yesterday's ball game, was 0 for 1, so he is now 1 for 3 in the series. Acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates as he played out his option. Richie Hebner's father is quite a character. They're from Boston, and he is an undertaker. And there's a line drive, little punt, base hit into right field as Hebner gets his second base hit. And he is on. Hebner has worked for his father, the Undertaker, and one day he was asked if he had worked the past winter as an Undertaker, and he said, yes, I've planted a few, he said. He is some sort of a character. Now with Hebner on, Jay Johnstone will come up. Johnstone is 0 for 2. Seventh base hit for the Phillies off of Sutton. And the first pitch to Johnstone, a breaking ball, a called strike. Johnstone swung on the ball in the dirt and was struck out in the second and grounded out in the fourth. In the series, he is 0 for 3. And the next pitch by Sutton, grounded foul. Ball bounced on by Tony Taylor, one of the most popular players ever to play in Philadelphia. Billy DeMar is the third base coach for the Phillies, with Tony Taylor on the lines at first base. 2-strike count. Now Sutton's pitch. It's a fastball low and outside, just off the plate. 1 and 2. In the regular season, Sutton had a record of 14-8. He worked 240 innings, gave up only 207 hits. Good ratio there, struck out 150. And he comes in with a slider that's full foul, grounded on the first base side, so the count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Last year, Sutton won 21 and lost 10 his first 20-game season. He had an earned run average of 306. This year, his record 14-8 with an ERA of 3.19, just slightly higher. He was the most valuable player in the All-Star game when the National League defeated the American League. And a pitch to ice ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sutton, with ambitions to be a broadcaster, has been working in the Hollywood area on several interview-type shows and is very good. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. And it's popped up on the shortstop side, moving back his Cey onto the outfield rack, a couple of steps back, and he makes the catch. That retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left at first base, and the score at the end of 5.5 innings, the Dodgers 5 and the Phillies 1.
The last thing in the world Whitey Herzog was going to do is to crow over that opening game jump Kansas City has gotten on the American League playoffs. He said no, he didn't think the Royals had the best of 5 set locked up simply because they had beaten the Yankees on their own turf 7-2 Wednesday in the opener. And he was also asked whether or not he felt that this gave the club any kind of a psychological edge, and he says, no, I don't think. The only thing it gives us is a 1-game lead.
It's our pleasure to be in the CBS radio booth with the Commissioner of Baseball, Mr. Bowie Jun. And, Commissioner, we can't talk about baseball without talking about 38,750,000, snapping the all-time attendance record by nearly 6 million. Tremendous year.
Jerry, it is really a remarkable year. It's worked in so many ways that have been good for the game, and I think very exhilarating about the future of the game. But we had a lot of things happen this year that were good. We had fine races, at least most of the time, and the American League East carried at least down to last weekend. A lot of exciting things happened in the game. We had Lou Brock, we had Carew. We had a lot of controversy, and that isn't all bad, although it's uncomfortable for the commissioner sometimes. But it was a special year.
How about, is the commissioner's off at the hot seat? Can we ask you that question?
You bet.
Commissioner Bowie Jun here in our CBS radio booth, and now let's go back to Ralph Kiner in the play-by-play.
Commissioner Bowie Jun, and I doubt if he got the answer to the baseball quiz. I doubt if you got the answer. Maybe Mike Cuellar got the answer because he's the fellow that did it. Mike Cuellar, pitching for the Baltimore Orioles, has hit the only Grand Slam home run in championship play in the American League. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is CBS Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Ralph Kiner, along with Jerry Coleman from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Ron Cey, the batter, he fouled off the first pitch and now takes 1 for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. On the mound is Ron Reed. Cey batting against Reed for the first time, and the right-hand batter takes outside. Cey is 2 for 5 so far in this series with 4 runs batted in on a Grand Slam home run. And now Reed back, and the pitch is hit through the middle. A base hit for Cey. Ron Cey came into this series with an 0 for 31 streak. He had been at that 31 official times without a base hit. He had dropped his average down to 241, but he has hit a Grand Slam home run. He has had 3 base hits, and he is on now with no one out for Steve Garvey. Garvey is 3 for 5 in this series. That was the first base hit given up by Reed. And the Dodgers now have 6 hits to go with their 5 runs. The Phillies are 1-7. Cey is running with the pitch, and Garvey fouls the ball back out of play. He was trying to hit the right field on the hit and run. Cey is not fast. He's had 3 stolen bases in 7 attempts. Dodgers in the regular season had 6 Grand Slam home runs. Cey had 2, Garvey 2, Yeager 1, Baker 1. 1 strike count is Ron Reed. Asked for another set of signs, and now he gets them, and the pitch back up fastball. Garvey with a hard swing. Pitch at the letters, and it's strike two. Garvey hit in 15 of his last 19 ball games and batted .451 over that period of time. The Rays' average is .297. So to first base, it's not in time. Garvey hit 33 home runs in the regular season. That set a new record for home runs by a Dodger playing in Los Angeles. That does not count Dodgers playing in Brooklyn. And a fly ball hit out to right field. It's right there for Johnstone, and he makes the catch. Fay back to first base, and Dusty Baker coming up, and here he is, the hero of this ball game, Dusty Baker. In the fourth inning with Bill Russell on at third base and Reggie Smith on at second, the Phillies elected to walk Steve Garvey with an intentional walk to load the bases, and Dusty Baker crossed up the strategy with a grand slam home run. It was hit off an inside high slider, and the pitcher was Jim Lonborg, and the first pitch is inside for a ball. Baker closed out his season in good order with hits in 18 of his last 19 games, batting over that period of at a 362 clip. The pitch is swung on and fouled back, and again, Cey was running on the hit-and-run play.
Ralph, one of the things about Dusty Baker is that off-season operation. And I don't think we can talk about that enough because it mended that lame knee of his. He only played in 112 games last year and batted .242, and he turned it completely around this season and has been, well, what more can you say? He's got 30 home runs this year. He had 4 last year. He just turned his entire season around.
Dodgers believe he'll be the comeback player of the year. He hit only 4 home runs last year. This year he hit 30, and there's a swing and a foul tip. Drove in 39 runs last year. He had 2 stolen bases. This year he's had 30 home runs and 86 RBIs. What a turnaround.
And, you know, it wasn't so long ago with Atlanta back in '72 that he was the number 4 hitter in the National League with a .321 average. So he is recouping what he lost back in those early days.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and Ron Reed throws to first base. Fay back easily. Baker 2 for 5 in this series. Right-hand batter. Now the pitch by Reed. It's low and outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dodgers leading 5-1. Phillies scored in the third. The Dodgers tied it in the third. And the Dodgers got 4 in the grand slam home run by Baker in the 4th inning. 1 man out. We're in the bottom half of the 6th. Again, Cey is running. A throw by Boone is not in time, and Cey has a stolen base. Well, in yesterday's ball game, Greg Luzinski had a stolen base. Greg upsetting everybody, including the catcher Steve Yeager at the time. Luzinski had only 3 stolen bases all year, and now Ron Cey gets one, and he had 3 all year.
Those are the kind of stolen bases, Ralph, that drive a catcher right up the side of the wall. You expect to get those. The good guys like the Lopes and the speedsters are going to get their stolen bases. But when a Cey does it, it upsets you.
Went on the strikeout, so first base is open, and Rick Money, the batter, left-hand batter, he's going to be walked intentionally to go after Steve Yeager, right-hand batter. Danny Ozark playing the percentage. And the pitch outside for ball 2. Cey has had only 10 stolen bases in his entire career. He is called the Penguin because of the way he runs. He runs like a penguin does, and he certainly is not noted for his speed. But the pressure being put on by Tom Lasorda as the Dodgers lead 5-1 in the game. They feel they have to win. I think everybody that watches baseball feels they have to win it to have a chance to win the National Championship Series and get a chance to go into the World Series. Now it's Steve Yeager coming up, and Steve swings to the first pitch and misses a fastball. Right around the letters. Runners at first and second with 2 men away. walks that the Dodgers have received in this game have been intentional passes. Yeager had his best year in his major league career this year, batting .256 with 16 home runs and 55 RBIs. And Reed comes back again with a hard fastball. A swing and a miss, strike two. Reed going with smoke. Now Reed checks the signs, goes with the set, spins around, doesn't throw to second base, no one covering. Fans here putting the gear on Ron Reed, but that's very effective. And sometimes it scares the runner at second base right out of his wits. If he's not paying particular attention, he doesn't know what's going on. He could really be frightened. Now a pitch blowing outside. 1-2. They had a pitcher in baseball named Jittery Joe Barry that used to run back to second base and once or twice actually ended up tagging the runner out. Now at 1-2, the pitch is fouled back out of play.
Which brings me up to the point, who is running?
Well, somebody had to be sound asleep is what it was. Now, you can get out there at second base on a hot day in the summertime and start counting your money or something out there like that.
Not now. Maybe now, but not then you could.
Well, you could be thinking about how you're going to make your next buck. Maybe that'd be it back in those days. Now, fastball fouled off. So Yeager hangs tough and the count stays at 1-2. The money they make today, Jerry, you don't even have to count it. They just say, take another truckload in.
Well, the game has survived in spite of it. We're having a devil of a playoff right here between the Dodgers and the Phillies.
And it's 1-2. Again, Reed back, a line drive into center field, a base hit. Gray round third base. McBride throws to third base, and Schmidt takes a throw, and the tag is made in time. The run counts. They had to hustle all the way and cross home plate before the out of third, and he just did. So the run counts, and the Dodgers lead by a score of 6-1. Run batted in for Steve Yeager. In the inning, 1 run on 2 hits, and 1 man left on base, and the score at the end of 6. It's the Dodgers 6, the Phillies 1.
David Pearson won his 9th consecutive pole position at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Wednesday and pocketed $10,000 for grabbing the top starting spot for Sunday's $250,000 National 500 stock car race. Pearson put his Wood Brothers Mercury around the 1.5-mile track at an average speed of just under 161 miles an hour for 2 qualifying laps. And most of the drivers agreed that that speed would not be topped. Pearson's first lap was clocked at 161.517 miles an hour, and his second at just over 160. Donnie Allison and Cale Yarbrough, both driving Chevrolets, posted identical speeds of 159.848 miles an hour. But NASCAR officials say that since Allison made his attempt first, he would start in the second position. Yarbrough, the leading money winner in the standings in the lucrative Winston Cup standings, says he knew he couldn't beat Pearson.
We've gone through 6 innings of play here at Dodger Stadium, and the Dodgers sitting on top 6-1. The Phillies right now in the final third of this ball game are going to have to start to make a move. Bob Boone will start it off. It appears as though a pinch hitter will be coming off for Ron Reed, then back to the top of the batting order. But as it stands right now, the Dodgers with a 5-run lead and 3 innings to go. The Phillies will have to unseat Don Sutton from that mound and get to the bullpen if they're going to do anything in this game. Let's move over now and get back to Ralph Kiner. Ralph?
All right, Jerry Coleman, the pitcher Ron Reed will bat third in this inning, so Warren Brewster is throwing in the bullpen for the Phillies. Bob Boone, the leadoff. Boone is 0 for 2 on the mound. Don Sutton has given up 1 run on 7 base hits. Dodgers have only 7, but they are leading by 5. In the first pitch, Boone has popped up in foul territory. Yeager back. And Steve Yeager making the catch about a step away from the backstop. So 1 pitch again and 1 man out. That'll bring up Ted Sizemore, the second baseman. In the on-deck circle is Tim Carver. Carver caught Steve Carlton in the first game, as he always does. Sutton walking back to the mound, and he has been pitching with great economy here the last 4 innings. He has given up only 2 hits in the last 4 innings, and one of them he should have caught himself. It was off of his glove and fielded by the shortstop where they couldn't make the play in time. And the first pitch of ball. Sizemore 1 for 2. Had a half swing and got a base hit in the second inning. Lined out the third in the 4th inning. And the next pitch of ball, it's 2 balls and no strikes. Sizemore 1 for 5 so far in this series. Sutton has struck out 3. And the right-hander with the 2-0 pitch, and he's in the strike zone for a called strike. 2-1 the count. It has been just perfect weather-wise here in Los Angeles. Warm days and a very pleasant evening for both ball games. There's a drive hit to deep left center. A long way to go for Baker, but he gets back to it and catches the ball easily. And Sizemore is out. Now with 2 men out, the pitcher is due up. And we're going to have a pinch hitter. Ollie Brown, a right-hand batter, is coming up. Ozark preferring to save a left-hand batter. If and when later on in the ball game he might be of more value with 2 men out and no one on. So downtown, Ollie Brown coming up. He hasn't played much this year. Brown was the combination between Jay Johnstone and Ollie Brown, the right and left-hand combination, until Jerry Martin moved in this year, who is a younger player, and obviously the Phillies are trying to bring in more youth. They have a platoon system at first base and in right field, and Brown last year and the year before was the man that did that, but as Ralph Kiner told you, he's been shifted out a little bit now and is more as a pinch hitter than anything else. Also, Bake McBride coming to the ball club. That made a big difference for Ollie Brown. 1975, he hit over 300 as a platoon player. Last year, he batted .254. And the first pitcher called strike. He was selected by San Diego in the expansion draft. He also belonged to Oakland, Milwaukee, California, and Houston. And he has a brother, Willie Brown, is a great football star at USC. Played professional football with the Rams and Eagles. He's now an assistant coach at USC. Now pitch for a ball. That's 1 ball and 1 strike. And a pitch back for a ball. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Makes his home in Buena Park, California, right near here. He was purchased from Houston on waivers. And the next pitch to Brown, a hard swing and a miss. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ollie Brown has a fine throwing arm, and defensively, he is a good ball player. 2-2, 2 men out. And Don Sutton back into the windup. Here's the pitch, and Brown swings and misses, and Sutton gets his 4th strikeout in a 1-2-3 inning. And the score at the end of 6.5 innings, the Dodgers 6 and the Phillies 1.
The Atlanta Hawks have signed forward Rich Laurel, the Portland Trailblazers' 1977 first-round draft choice, to a multi-year contract. Laurel, a 6'6" rookie from Hofstra University, was the 19th overall pick for the 1977 college draft, but was unable to come to terms with the Portland club. In compensation for the signing of Laurel, Atlanta agreed to give Portland its 2nd-round draft choice in 1978, which was recently acquired the Bill Willoughby trade from Buffalo. Hawks coach Hubie Brown saying Laurel will join the Hawks in Hollywood, Florida, October 7th for a preseason contest against the New Orleans Jazz. Laurel averaged just over 30 points a game last year and hit over 50% from the floor. His scoring average tied him for 4th place in last season's college scoring race with the University of Houston's Otis Birdsong. Laurel led Hofstra to a 23-7 record in the berth in the NCAA postseason tournament. He received the Haggerty Award, recognizing the best college player in the New York metropolitan area. Laurel attended Philadelphia's Overbrook High School, which counts Wilt Chamberlain, Walt Hazzard, and Andre McCarter among its alumni. In case you missed it, the Kansas City Royals 7-2 over the New York Yankees in the first game of the American League playoffs. And only once since the league playoff series began in 1969 has a visiting team won the opening game and not gone on to win the championship.
The Phillies are coming up with their third pitcher of the evening. Lonborg started it. He went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits and 5 runs. Ron Reed in a couple of innings, 2 hits and 1 run. And now a young right-hander, Warren Brewster, with a 7-2 mark overall on a 2.66 earned run average in 1977, appearing in 46 ball games. He'll be going up against the pitcher Don Sutton, and Ralph Kiner's right here to tell you all about it.
Warren Brewster, and he spells his name B-R-U-S-S-T-A-R, but pronounces it as it were spelled phonetically Brewster, and there's a good story behind that. We'll get to that as we get along. And the first pitch by Brewster, a hard smash to shortstop, taken on 1 hop by Larry Bowa, and Don Sutton, the batter, is a quick out. A couple of generations ago, Warren Brewster's great-grandfather was wanted for being a thief in England. And he wanted to get out of the country, naturally, so he changed the spelling of his name from the normal way you spell Brewster to B-R-U-S-S-T-A-R, and that way he got himself in a position to get the papers to get out of the country. He did, came over to the United States, and the name has stayed that way ever since. And the first pitch is grounded by Davey Lopes to the third baseman, Mike Schmidt. So Brewster, with great economy, picking up 2 outs on 2 pitches. That'll bring up Bill Russell. Earlier in the ball game, in the first inning, Jim Lonborg retired the first 2 batters on 2 pitches, and then Reggie Smith came up and took the first pitch, and I'm assuming that Russell will do the same. No one wants to see a pitcher get out of an inning with 3 pitches. So Brewster's pitch is bunted, and bunted out toward third base. Tough play for Smith. He barehands it, but he can't get it there in time. And Bill Russell crossing up the Philadelphia Phillies with a perfect bunt down the third base side. Schmidt did all he could do. He came in charging from a fairly deep position, barehanded the ball, fired it to first base, but Russell beat the play. So Russell with his second into the ball game, and he is on with 2 men out, and Reggie Smith will be coming up.
Sometimes from little acorns, big trees grow, and a 2-out bunt, as we said, sometimes can start things rolling.
Reggie Smith, 1 for 3 in this game, batting from the left-hand side. Brewster sets up, checks the runner at first base, and the pitch is line foul into the stands on the left field side. Reggie Smith with 1 hit and 7 times up in this series. Dodgers leading 6-1. 6 runs on 8 hits. The Phillies 1 run on 7. Brewster, a right-hander with his next delivery, and Smith goes for it, doesn't make contact at strike 2. Swings so hard his hat comes off. Pitcher record on the losing side, Jim Lonborg reached for 5 runs on 5 hits and 4 innings. Reed worked 2, gave up no runs on 1 hit. Brewster has been reached for the bunt single in this inning, and a pitch out, but nothing on. Boone calling for a pitch outside, figuring that Russell would be running, but he was not going. 1-2. And Brewster sets up. Now the pitch. And Smith hits it to deep left center field. A quick start by the center fielder McBride. He banks to the wall. He crashes into the wall, drops the ball, and he might be hurt. Ball picked up by Luzinski to throw in. Smith going to third as the run scores. And McBride is on the warning track, down on the ground. He hit the wall hard.
The Phillies, Ralph Kiner, are in tough shape. Their other center fielder, Gary Maddox, is injured and may not play in the series. And Bake McBride caught the ball and barreled into that wall, and the ball came flying out, and he may be hurt. He went in with his right shoulder. Don Yeager, the Philadelphia trainer, running all the way out to center field, along with manager Danny Ozark at a much slower pace, trying to find out what's going on.
And apparently he's all right, Jerry. He's on his feet. Might have just had the breath knocked out of him. He was down on one knee. The trainer is working on his neck and shoulders. They might have been jarred up. Sometimes these things show up a little bit later on, but he did hit that ball with a resounding crash, and he went down hard.
Well, a couple of things happened there. Luzinski picked up that ball and got it back as quick as he could, and then went over to check with Bake McBride, and McBride got part of his face in the middle of that wall and may have taken a stunning blow, and I think that's what kept him down there for so long. But I haven't seen an outfielder go into a wall any harder than that in some time.
One of the things about modern-day ballparks, the fences are made to give. And that makes a tremendous difference because running that hard into a cement wall, you've got to give. But the fence did give, and it might have cushioned the blow enough to keep McBride from being injured seriously.
When you talk about running into walls, Ralph Steiner, I know the first person you think about, anybody who's watched baseball, is Steve Yeager. It destroyed his career.
And one of the greatest baseball players to ever hit the baseball scene, Steve Yeager, not only did it once, but twice, and he really was the man who brought the cushioned effect on the walls into baseball.
Well, Branch Rickey, after Yeager kept running into the wall, finally patted Ebbets Field in hopes that he could keep Yeager going, but it's still the tremendous force that he went into the wall on a couple of occasions just about shattered his career.
Yeager, one of the great ball players with fantastic speed, a Mickey Mantle type of player, and some experts believe he would have been better than Mickey Mantle, which shows that he was certainly some ball player. Now it's Ron Cey batting with a runner at third. It has a check swing ground ball to first base. It's picked up by Hebner as he stands on the bag, and that retires his side. But one run in on a bunt base hit and a free base hit by Reggie Smith. One man left at third, and the score at the end of 7. It's the Dodgers 7 and the Philadelphia Phillies 1.
Dodger Stadium tonight, the Phillies and the Dodgers. It's the second of the best 3 of 5 last night, as most of you baseball fans know. The Phillies knocked off the Dodgers 7-5, and Don Sutton came into this ball game pitching for the Dodgers, knowing the Dodgers had to win it. It was a must-win ball game. They could not go into Philadelphia starting on Friday down 0-2. Don Sutton has been the glue in this pitching staff so far. He has given up 1 run, a home run to Bake McBride. He has spread out 7 base hits, but no serious innings except for that third when he gave up the home run and the double. So Don Sutton has been the man that has stopped Philadelphia in a key ball game. Right now the Dodgers and the line score 7-9-0. The Phillies 1-7-1. We're going into the 8th inning. The Philadelphia Phillies will have to make a move and make it in a hurry, or this ball game will go over to the Los Angeles Dodgers and will be all even at 1 apiece starting on Friday. Well, back to the action here. Bake McBride, who just blasted himself all over the left center field wall, apparently hit hard, but did not have the effect from that hit as much as we thought. He's coming up to lead it off, Ralph Steiner.
Got to be a tough man. McBride had a home run in the 3rd inning. He also had an infield base hit in the 5th, 2 for 3. He was 2 for 5 yesterday. McBride's home run in this ball game right down the right field line, just around the 330 mark. He was acquired from the St. Louis Cardinals for pitcher Tom Underwood. Outstanding acquisition. And the first pitch, a curveball by Sutton. It's out of the strike zone. Right out of the batter's box. Now it comes back in. And the next pitch is hit foul on the right field side. The ball drifting out into the stands out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Paul Owens, the architect of the Philadelphia Phillies, the man who put this ball club together, and he certainly has done an outstanding job. Phillies coming up with a very strong ball club as he maneuvered and worked his way around, acquiring ball players to fit into the Philadelphia Philly pattern and to blend with Philadelphia Philly farm players like Mike Schmidt and Greg Luzinski. The next pitch is fouled off on the third base side to count 1-2. Philadelphia well-run organization headed by Bill Giles, the son of the late, not that I shouldn't say it that way, he's still alive, the ex-National League president, Warren Giles, who is here attending this game and looking great. 1-2. He is the president emeritus of the National League, Warren Giles. 1-2. And a little pop-up into center field. Rick Mundy moves over. He's there. And McBride is out as he puts it away.
You know, Ralph, one of the classic acquisitions of the Philadelphia Phillies was Mike Schmidt, who may be the most positive and well-balanced ball player on the field. And in his first year, in a full season in 132 ball games, batted only 196. And yet they stayed with him. He fought his way back to a 282 year the next year, and he's been on his way ever since.
Three-time National League home run champion. This year he was dethroned by George Foster, who hit 52, become the fifth man in the history of the National League to hit 50 or more home runs. First pitch of ball to Larry Bowa. Bowa has one hit and 3 times up. Switch hitter, batting from the left-hand side. And Bowa tries to bunt his way on, misses the ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Don Sutton.
You get the feeling in this ball game right now, Ralph Kiner, here in the 8th inning, the momentum is totally on the Dodgers' side. The Phillies more or less kind of playing out the string at the moment.
Sutton has been in command of this ball game. He has just worked with a very patient approach to the pitching performance. A hard smash off of the glove of Davey Lopes. It was playable, and Bowa is on. The ball was hit right at Lopes, the one hopper, and it scored as an error. It was hit hard, but playable. So an error charged to Davey Lopes, the first by the Dodgers, and a runner on for Mike Schmidt.
Having challenged a few of those myself, Ralph Kiner, that is a very tough error.
You really think so, huh?
Yeah, I'd say that ball came up quick on him. He had one chance to knock it down and throw him out. That was his best hope. And when it got by him, he was lost.
You infielders are all alike.
We protect our own.
That's right. If you're a hitter, you got to get a base hit on that.
That's what I say.
Okay, we got a runner at first with 1 man out. Mike Schmidt up. Mike is 0 for 3, hit 1 ball hard. A line drive to short in the 3rd. Struck out in the 1st, flat out to center field in the 6th. And the first pitch is strike. At Los Angeles, Don Sutton won 7 and lost 3. Pitching here in this ballpark. Overall record of 14-8. He won his last 4 decisions. And Don Sutton to the set position. Here's the pitch. And Schmidt hits a long fly ball to left center field. It's way back there. It's going, and it is caught at the top of the wall. Rick Mundy catching that ball at the top of the wall, and Schmidt a long out. Back to first base is Larry Bowa. He had already reached second, and that's a big play in the ball game. It was not a spectacular catch. The ball was hit so high that Mundy got back to the fence, and the only thing was whether or not he could reach it.
A pretty good demonstration on how to go back on a ball if you're an outfielder, and Mundy did exactly what he had to do. He went right to the wall, turned around, and there it was.
That'll bring up Greg Luzinski. Luzinski has had a double and 3 times up, lined out in the 6th inning, doubled to right center in the 3rd, and grounded into out to the second baseman his first time up. And Sutton now with the first pitch, and he comes back with a slider. It's popped out toward third base. Say crosses in front of the shortstop to field it, and the throw to first base for the out that retires the side. In the inning, no runs, an error, and 1 man left on base. And the score at the end of 7 1/2 innings, the Dodgers 7 and the Phillies 1.
2-run homers by Hal McRae and John Mayberry, plus Freddie Pautek's disputed 2-run double, highlighted a lightning-quick Kansas City Blitz Wednesday and carried the Royals to a 7-2 victory over the New York Yankees in the first game of their American League Championship Series at Yankee Stadium. In taking a 1-0 lead in that best-of-5 series, the Royals did the bulk of their scoring in the first 3 innings, and thus found themselves in the comfortable position of returning to their home stadium after Thursday night's second game with no worse than a split in New York. And no team which has lost the first game in the series, at least in the National League, has ever been to rebound and win the series. In the American League, Oakland did it back in 1974, but the A's are the only team to have done it. Yankee starter Don Gullett, who said the secret to beating the Royals is keeping their speed off the bases, failed in that mission.
Tonight's attendance, 55,973, which bettered last night's mark by 5 people, and that is a new record for a championship series here at Dodger Stadium. This is the second game. Phillies won it last night 7-5. The Dodgers in complete command tonight, leading 7-1. We're going into the last half of the 8th inning. Steve Garvey coming up to hit, and Ralph Kiner standing by for the play-by-play.
Okay, Jerry Coleman. Garvey is 0 for 2 in this game after going 3 for 4 in last night's ball game. Garvey grounded out to short in the second, walked in the fourth, and the walk of Story in the game, right out to right field on a semi-line drive in the 6th inning. On the mound, Warren Brewster in the first pitch to Garvey, a called strike. With runners at second and third and 1 man out in the 4th inning, Danny Ozark elected to walk Garvey intentionally to get to Dusty Baker. Both batters, right-hand batters, of course, but Baker not as feared by Danny Ozark, and Baker crossed up the 70 with a grand slam home run. And a pitch in the dirt that counted 1 ball and 1 strike. And the next pitch to Garvey, swung on and fouled back. 1-2. Brewster working his second inning, gave up a run on 2 hits in the 7th. His first inning to work. And the right-hander with a record of 7-2 for the year. Starting into the windup, but time called for Garvey as he steps back out of the batter's box. Now time back in, and the 1-2 pitch. Fastball outside, down around the knees, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And at 2-2, the pitch. Swung on and missed, and Garvey is struck out. First strikeout for Brewster. That will bring up Dusty Baker, the hero of the ballgame. Baker 1 for 3 in this game, but a fantastic grand slam home run. It was a line shot to left. The question about it was whether or not it would get up high enough to get in, and it just did. That's all that counts. And here's the first pitch, ball 1. Johnny Mize, a great home run hitter, one of 5 players to hit over 50 home runs in a single season with 51 in 1947. Always said that it doesn't count how far you hit them. He says, I'll take them if they scrape the wall on the way down, but make sure it's on the back side. Now ground ball foul at strike 2. And the next pitch is called strike, and 2 in a row now for Warren Brewster as he strikes out Dusty Baker looking. Now with 2 men out, the batter will be Rick Bundy, who had a double his first time up and scored. Also was safe on an error and was walked intentionally in the 6th. And that walk also backfired as Steve Yeager followed with a base hit to drive in a run. So Danny Ozark has twice been foiled, as they say in Hollywood. And here's the first pitch. It's too low for a ball. And a fastball low and outside, ball 2. Bundy batted .229 in the regular season with 15 home runs and 48 runs batted in. Came to the Dodgers from the Cubs. But he was bothered with a bad back all year. He swings at a fastball, doesn't make contact, 2-1. Bundy stepping back out of the batter's box. Now sets himself in. And he swings and foul tips the next one, 2-2. Mundy was a student of the batting instructor of the Chicago Cubs, Lou Francisco. And a ground ball hit to the second baseman, Sizemore, and he surrounds it, comes up with it, throws the first base for the out. Sides retired in order, and the score at the end of 8, it is the Dodgers 7 and the Philadelphia Phillies 1.
Not only did the New York Yankees lose the opening game of the American League Playoff Series to Kansas City 7-2, but it appears the Yankees have also lost the services of left-handed Don Gullett for the American League playoffs, and if the Yankees continue onward in the World Series. Yankee manager Billy Martin and trainer Gene Monahan saying that it's virtually certain that Gullett will not pitch again in this year's playoffs. He left the game in the second inning on Wednesday with a sore shoulder, and Monahan declares Gullett's entire left shoulder is aching, and Martin says it's the same shoulder trouble that put Gullett on the disabled list for most of August. And because that injury kept the lefty out for several weeks, Martin feels Gullett's postseason pitching is over for this year. Gullett was tagged for 4 runs in his 2 innings and was the losers as the Yanks dropped that playoff opener 7-2.
Fans, enjoy the drama of the World Series by getting your official copy of the 1977 World Series program, the same one that's sold at the ballpark. This 80-page program is a sure collector's item with color features on the divisional winners, plus stories on past World Series. Look for the program on selected news territories and order your copy now by sending a check or money order for $2.50 to World Series program, Post Office Box 666, San Francisco, the zip code 94101. The proceeding has been brought to you on behalf of Major League Baseball.
Well, the Phillies are down to their last 3 outs, and the leadoff batter will be Richie Hebner. Don Sutton going all the way to the first 8, and the first pitch to Hebner is high and inside. He backs him out of the batter's box. Sutton in postseason play has been unbeatable. In the championship series for the Dodgers in 74 against Pittsburgh, Sutton won 2 and lost none with a 53 ERA, 0.53. Here's a pitch to Hebner. It's down the right field line, foul. In the World Series in 1974, Sutton was 1-0. In the All-Star game, he has no record, no wins or losses, so in extracurricular baseball, Sutton has not lost. And leading here by a score of 7-1, working to Richie Hebner. Hebner has 2 hits and 3 times up, and he grounds 1 foul, so they counted 1-2. Dodgers 7 runs on 9 hits. The Phillies have 1 run on 7. Each team has made 1 error. The National League will not be playing tomorrow. It's a travel date, but the American League at Yankee Stadium, Kansas City there, they won today by a score of 7-2. And from Yankee Stadium, it'll be Ned Martin and Ernie Harwell at 8:07 Eastern Daylight Time for the play-by-play of that one. And a pitch for a ball that's, make that a strike. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hebner, a left-hand batter. And the next delivery, it popped up into the second base area, and then Lopes back in the outfield grass, a step or so, puts it away. An easy out. So the Phillies have 2 outs left as Jay Johnstone comes up. Mike Garman, a right-hander, throwing in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Johnstone is 0 for 3. And Sutton's lined up and pitched. Comes back in with a good curveball, a called strike. In that Royal Yankee game, the Royals 7, Yankees 2. Kansas City had 9 hits. The Yankees had 9. Winning pitcher was Paul Fedorf. Losing pitcher was Don Gullett. Home runs by Hal McRae, Don Mayberry, and Allen. Munson had one for the Yankees. They had 54,000 plus at the Yankee Stadium. And Johnstone looks, and the pitch is outside. Pitch before that also out of the strike zone, so they counted 2-1. Sutton with that same pace all through the ball game. Comes back with a fastball on the outside corner, just at the knees. It balls strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now the windup and the pitch back to Johnstone. It's hit on the line over the head of Garvey down into the right field area. Picked up by Smith. And Johnstone has his first hit of the series. He is on with 1 away. That'll bring up Bob Boone. Boone is 0 for 3. Right-hand batter. Boone and Lonborg, the starting battery for the Philadelphia Phillies. Lonborg, the pitcher record on the losing side right now. Both attended Stanford University. And the first pitch to Boone. On the outside corner, a hard slider down around the knee, strike 1. Series featured by 2 Grand Slam home runs, the first 2 in the National League in championship play, and a pitch for a ball that's 1-1. And it's the first time, of course, back-to-back games have seen a Grand Slam home run in postseason play. Mike Schmidt has the only Grand Slam home run in postseason championship play in the American League. And here's the next delivery, a swing and a miss. The bat flies out of the hand of Boone. It's thrown to first base by Yeager, but Johnstone gets back in safely. Bat retrieved by the Dodger bat boy, and Boone now back in the batter's box with a count against him, 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1-2, and the next pitch is hit hard, a base hit just by the bag at third down the left field line. Baker over in a hurry to field it, and he stops Boone at first base with a great play. Dusty Baker hustling over and actually fielding that ball in the left field corner in foul territory. And he fired it in the second, and Boone stopped at first. Extremely good defensive play by Dusty Baker. So runners now at first and third as the Phillies try to fight back. Phillies need 6 to tie. They have runners at first and third, 1 man out, and the batter coming up is Ted Sizemore. Right-hand batter, 1 for 3 in this game, and he hits a hard smash to the shortstop. Russell will be a double play in the ball game. Russell sits on second base, throws to Garvey at first base, and that's the story as the Dodgers win 7-1.